Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices, 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our customers.
We're going to hit them push-ups tonight, boy.
Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to interest and monthly rates.
Oh, yeah.
Boost Mobile built a 5G network. There's 99% nationwide coverage for just $25 a month. So whether you're uptown, way out of town, over there, here, you get reliable 99% nationwide.
I'm going to set up the gym in here tonight, boy.
Visit your local Boost Mobile store today. The Boost Mobile network includes roaming coverage from your network, which covers 99% of the U.S. population. 5G speeds not available in all areas. After 30 gigabytes, service may be slowed. Terms apply.
I got the push-up bars out here tonight. We're going to get 200 push-ups in.
Everybody knows we started our own the Hit Stars original series BMS returns. You can put us up on the next.
Ooh. We got the bands that make her dance. Bands that make her dance. Let me take off the yada I mean. Boom, we in here. I got the bands ready. Hey. Hey. Just to get warmed up. Just to get a quick pump. Pump it up. What y'all want to talk about, yo? Chat, what we talking about tonight? What y'all thinking? Hector already hit us with the. What's your thoughts about Thibs firing? I was surprised. So was me. This is going to be a fun one tonight. It's easy, bro. It's a fun one tonight. We got the Mets game on right now. Mets are down, but they're trying to battle back. Let me see what happened here in that second inning. No, first inning. They're in the third inning now, but that first inning got rough for Tyler McGill. Let's see. Mookie Betts is back. Mookie Betts single, followed up by a Freddie Freeman double. Teoscar Hernandez walked. And Max Muncy, that funky Muncy, homered. Yo, what's up? Muncy homered. And that's the damage that has been done. Mauricio Mania is on. Maury. I don't think he's done anything yet. The one run that the Mets have came by way of Pete Alonso. He had a single on a ground ball to center. And Marte scored after he had singled. But I'm no silly rabbit. I'm no fool. You guys want to call and talk about the Knicks still? Because they just gave us a fresh batch of news today. Before we get to the finals, they hit us with a fresh firing. And if you listen to me, I was saying run it back. If you listen to me, I was saying this guy was safe. But what do I know? I'm just a fan like you guys. I'm not even a Knicks fan. So what do I know? What do I know? I'm rocking the Somerset Diners hat and the Jazz jersey. Well, jersey. Jazz back. Put him at second. All right, here we go, folks.
Good evening at 11 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by Surf Pro. Cleanup, restoration, and construction. Visit Surf Pro THIBODEAU.com. Mets trail the Dodgers 4-1. They're in the top of the third in LA. Tyler McGill has been roughed up thus far. 4 runs in the first inning. Next month he had a big blow. He had a 2-run shot. Pete Alonso with an RBI single. That came in the first inning off Clayton Kershaw for the Mets. That's their run, although they do have a runner in scoring position at second base for Juan Soto at the plate right now with 1 out here in the third. The 4-1 lead. Kershaw has given up a run on 3 hits through 2 1/3. He's walked a couple. McGill, second inning of work for him. 4 runs and the 3 hits. A couple of strikeouts. Again, Dodgers in front of the Mets. 4-1. Top 3. Yankees welcome back Jazz Chisholm to the lineup. He and Anthony Volpe went back-to-back in the 7th, giving the Yankees a 2-run lead. Devin Williams trying to lock it down back to the closer's role due to the Luke Weaver injury. Gave up a run, needed 30 pitches, but secured the Yankees' 3-2 win over the Guardians. Dave Sims, the call here on the fan. DJ LeMahieu, an RBI single, while Carlos Rodon, brilliant again, struck out 8, 7 innings, a 1-run ball. And after leading the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, the Knicks have fired head coach Tom Thibodeau after 5 seasons as coach. Made the playoffs 4 of those years. Knicks had missed the playoffs 7 straight prior to that, and 13 of the last 16 years. He ranks 4th on the franchise list for victories, and had just signed a 3-year extension last summer. He still owed over $30 million. 67 degrees, clear skies, Central Park, and that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Juan Soto homer. Yeah, let's get it, New York City. As I speak, the generational Juan Soto just went deep. A 2-run blast to bring the lead to only 1. Tyler McGill had a rough first inning. The make it happen Mets made it happen last night late. Mauricio Mania is on. Maury. The sports are sportsing. The Yankees win. The Yankees win. But good grief, man. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move again. I don't know if I could do this for 4 to 6 weeks. Jazz is back. A back-to-back and a belly-to-belly. But I know what y'all want to do. I know what we got to do. I knew this afternoon what I was going to have to do tonight. Dang. New York, the big city of dreams. But everything in New York ain't always what it seems. DJ AM. It was all a dream. That's crazy, bro. Tom Thibodeau got fired today. If you listen to me, I said run it back. If you listen to me, I said he's safe. This guy made progress. This season was a success. I told you that he deserved. No, you don't deserve anything. Not in this NBA where Mike Malone is fired. We'll surely take a call where somebody suggests Queens get the money. Mike Malone coming through. Taylor Jenkins. You know. In the NBA and just in New York in general, results matter. And ultimately, if you don't get the result that only one team is going to get, you could get fired. You could get chopped. And even though I thought Tom Thibodeau was safe, it doesn't matter what any of us thought. There were a lot of people calling for his head the whole season and the postseason. There were a lot of people suggesting after they lost to the Pacers back-to-back years in the fashion that they lost, blowing game 1, going to the bench in desperation, too little, too late, losing game 6 the way they got blown out at the end of game 6, that like, hey, it didn't work. This regime, the architect of this era, the Knicks, the old narratives about him came true again, right? The joke that Kenny Smith put out there, oh, Tom Thibodeau wouldn't start 9 guys in a baseball game. Wouldn't play 9 guys in a baseball game, you know. The minutes police. Oh, he plays his guys too many minutes. They're going to be run down. They're going to be tired by the end of the season. Well, I guess you could say that. It sucks because if you're a Knicks fan, you did just have one of the best seasons of your life, and you have to be thinking right now, this was a mistake. And it will be a mistake if you take a step back. It will be a mistake if you don't get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, if you don't go to the finals next year, the year after that. But now anything goes. Now all bets are off. You fire the coach, anything can happen next. Jalen Brunson was on the mic after the game, and when they asked him about his head coach, he basically looked at him like, are you serious right now? You're asking me about whether I think Thibs is the right guy to lead us? Of course, yes. That's his man. I told you, Tom Thibodeau is safe with Rick Brunson and Jalen Brunson. Well, then whose decision was this? Because those two have been overruled. I don't think they wanted to see him go. I've seen him on the Roommates podcast. Rick is on his bench. This version of Jalen Brunson, we only realized and saw through Tom Thibodeau. How many post games did he go out there and fight for this guy, saying he doesn't get the foul calls he deserves? I mean, who you mad at? Leon Rose? I think this was above him as well. And it's funny because Leon Rose, we never hear from. Even in a day like today, with big news that shook the entire sports landscape, everybody weighed in today. It was one of those windows, right? The NBA needed something like this. The finals don't start for another 2 days. But this story, everybody chimed in. Every single pundit. We'll play some different clips tonight from different people. Some people called it, and some people got to peacock a little bit. See, I told you. But it's not really like that hot of a take to say, okay, the guy that lost to the Indiana Pacers twice, the guy that was stubborn and stuck in his ways in this modern day NBA, they moved on from him feeling like they needed a new voice, and they need somebody that's more modern and innovative, somebody that can put together a plan to beat the Pacers. I don't think that they decided to fire their head coach on Sunday. I think that this was percolating. I think that this was out there. I think that there were conversations about the Knicks being a second round exit again this year and that being unacceptable. But that's what, when I came on Sunday, I told you it was all a dream. It was all a dream for this team to be a championship team. It was all a dream for them to win the whole thing or even get to the finals. They were never elite. They were never expected to be where they got to. And I don't know. I feel like he deserves some credit for that. But then you got Jeff Teague going out there talking about he doesn't really coach guys. And there's so many little mistakes that we saw from him. I mean, not calling timeout in game 1, letting that lead evaporate. Even how he handled that Pistons loss where Brunson and Hart didn't come off the bench and it's just tick, 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 tick. And he said it was a coach's decision. Whatever, they survived that. But, I mean, if he defeats the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals and not the second round, does that save his job? I don't know if anything was saving him because time is of the essence. And even though I feel like the writing is on the wall so much for the Knicks because I was going through the pattern, right? I went through the pattern with you guys yesterday as far as 2022, the Heat lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. 2023, they win the Eastern Conference Finals. 2023, the Celtics lose. 2024, they win. 2024, the Pacers lose. 2025, they win. 2025, the Knicks lose. It's setting up for 2026, the Knicks to be able to get to the finals. But they're going to try and get to the finals with a new voice, a new head coach, and probably a new team. And that's why I say all bets are off now. Go ahead and get Giannis then. Go ahead and get KD. Go ahead and get whoever. Change the team again. Because you just changed the leader of the team, the face of the team. And this isn't an easy decision. This is New York. And I heard comparisons to like Joe Girardi. It's not easy to be the head coach of the Knicks, to deal with the media. I mean, I just mentioned Leon Rose. He doesn't even deal with the media. the city's one team, the one team that unites the city, he ducks the media completely. Whoever comes in and takes his job has to be prepared to deal with all that comes with it. Now, this is more pressure than ever. This isn't the bum-ass Knicks. Like, this is the Knicks who are expected to go to the finals next year. That is a lot. That's a high bar for a Johnny Bryant with no experience, who I know has been here, but, like, you can't expect him to come into the situation year one and get that done. Or even pivoting to a Mike Malone, who's a champion, but this is a whole different setting. This is not Denver. There's no Nikola Jokic on this team. Like, and they're putting names like Jeff Van Gundy out there. No second tours. Don't double back. Those good memories you have from Jeff Van Gundy, they'll be ruined. They'll be erased if he comes in here and they're a second-round exit next year. I don't know. Jay Wright, I don't think is interested. I've seen Jay Wright in the Garden supporting the Villanova boys, but I don't know if he's interested. Like I said, this is a pressure cooker, yo. I don't know if he's interested in taking this job at this juncture. Anyway, even Van Gundy, he's got ties to Thibs. Like, they have a relationship. Is he coming in and taking his job? I don't know who wants this job. They have to have somebody in mind. And I say that to say this. I think this is a Dolan decision, yo. The more I thought about it, I'm like, you know, like Leon Rose. I talked about Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau have to be in lockstep. They have to build the team and yada, yada, yada. Even after the game, Tom Thibodeau was talking about this is a big offseason for us. You know, we got the draft. We got free agency. We got to evaluate talent. We've got to develop talent. He's planning. I made a joke on Twitter. I'm like, damn, they fired him. And he got the news in the film room looking over the Pacers series, trying to scheme and figure out how to beat the Pacers next year. So 888-808-1019. I know you want to talk about Tom Thibodeau. I know you want to talk about Thibs. That's it. Pay some respects, though. Back-to-back 50-win seasons and a season that had y'all jumping up and down in the living room, a season that had y'all outside climbing on billboards and crowd surfing and throwing garbage at people. He was the head coach. It's not a guarantee the next head coach comes in here and gets you back to where you were. And we don't know what they're about to do with Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart. Josh Hart, we need an emergency roommate podcast. You and Big Body Brunson. We need to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys. 888-808-1019. The Yankees won. We are getting the ROI from RODON. Carlos Rodon. I appreciate you, Los. Turned into an ace. When we lost the ace in Garrett Cole, this guy is finally giving us a return on investment. I don't know if you were just listening to Emmanuel Barbari talking about how, like, this is the best stretch of his career. He was at it again tonight. It's amazing to see. He has evolved. He has grown up. He has learned how to pitch, specifically in New York. And we'll get to Devin Williams, but Jazz is back, fresh out of the Somerset Patriots Jersey Diners. He brings that energy here. Him and Volpe. I mean, Jazz breaking up the no-no, that bloop. You had to know the blast was coming. Dinger Tuesdays. I'm done betting because I'm popped off of betting on the Knicks and betting on Juan Soto to homer. Of course, he homers tonight. But, yeah, you had to know a bloop and a blast was coming. And you had to know that entire game that Devin Williams was going to come in. It was going to be a close game. He was going to come in for the save. And everybody braced for impact. I listened to Luke Weaver on Susan Waldman's manager show pregame. And, you know, she talked to him and he felt something stretching. He's down for a while. Okay. It's Devin Williams time. And we learned today that, you know, it's not going to be easy, man. Devin Williams goes out there tonight, and I have not been this uncomfortable watching a guy pitch. We're going to do this into the All-Star break. We'll break down the at-bats and talk about Devin Williams. We'll talk about DJ LeMahieu at second base and Jazz being at third and how long that is going to exist for. We'll talk about all the little things with the Yankees and the Mets. I already mentioned Ronnie Mauricio being up here. Juan Soto getting going. Juan Soto with a shot to right field. The Mets are battling. I mean, if the Mets win this game tonight, they got the tiebreaker over the Dodgers. They split against the Dodgers. And, the Dodgers came out with the right energy tonight. Freddie Freeman dancing again. Max Muncy, that funky Muncy. The sports are sports, man. There's plenty of sports to talk about. I want to take a break. There's already a full rack of calls. We're 15 minutes in. I've got till 2 a.m. I want to talk to every one of you. Everything is on the table. We don't have to stay on Tom Thibodeau. It's over for him. But I know some people want to call with their thoughts and takes. And, we've been talking Knicks every day, all day. We're going to shift into baseball. The Yankees are home for a homestand and good win. But, it's going to be a little shaky, man. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but it is what it is. They got to score 7-8 runs. They cannot. I don't know if my heart can handle it. I don't know if I could do that every night, but it is what it is. We got to do what we got to do. And the Mets, very impressive last night, what they did in extras. Francisco Lindor, what a ridiculous stat. Every time this guy homers, the Mets win. I think there's 27 games in a row that he's homered and the Mets have won. He is the guy. But you've got Pete Alonso driving in a run tonight. You've got Juan Soto driving in 2 more runs tonight. It's 4-3 Dodgers, top of the 4th here. We've got until 2 a.m. to talk about all 3 of the Yankees, the Mets, and the Knicks. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Call up. We'll be right back. All right, chat, what's the deal? Bro, I need my mods to get these nerds up out the chat, bro. This dude, I think this dude made a second account. Like, you got to get a life, Brody. You got to get a whole life, Brody. I don't actually, the mods can't get you out of the chat because you're on Twitter, yo. Some of y'all are just losers for a living and you don't make any money off of it. Like, I got to go to Twitter and I got to go into the chat on Twitter and delete your 3rd account. Like, bro, give it a break. If you love me, just say you love me, man. Don't come in here talking about my earrings, nice earrings, fake chain, and fake dreads. Nothing's fake about this. I'm the realest you've ever seen. You're fake. Your name is Dutch FFC with a green D. Give me a freaking break. All right. Back to the rest of the community, the people that rock with me in the chat. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm battling a little bit of the allergies. I'm battling a little bit of the just congestion and sneezing and whatnot, but I'll be all right. I seen you guys all on the Soto. Soto's got to show up. I was saying it yesterday. I was like, yo, you're not going to hold the Dodgers down. The top 4 in their lineup went 0 for 4 against the Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball. Coming in there building, you got to hit. And they are. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll throw up one of these. How about this? What happened in baseball today? I'm going to get some push-ups in, if y'all don't mind. Rocking the Jazz, the 13. All right, y'all. Let's strap in for another KM to AM. Yeah, we do. Got to score runs. We'll talk about it. Thibs got outcoached in the Pacers series. He never played the bench, kept the starters in the game, went up 20. Yeah. It's over now. Appreciate it. Whoever thought he lost it, Marcus Blackman. Some people thought Soto lost it. Yeah, I think we all were. It kind of came out of nowhere. Honestly, Evan and Tiki's show, they led off with the right conversation because they basically started their show saying he wasn't safe. That's what I would like to know. I would like to know, like, you better have a plan. You better have a plan, yo. Yo, Joes. I want Phil Jackson coaching. No, you don't want him coming back to the Knicks. He caused problems. I don't think KD wants the Knicks, honestly. You work until 2? I got you. Yeah, I had to go to Twitter just to block this nerd, bro. Let's get back into it. Day night. Well, mostly night. Keith McPherson, your nighttime host, checking in on the fan. You got me till 2 a.m. Let's talk about all the sports. You know, I feel like the Knicks have dominated the conversation so much. They lost, they're eliminated, and now they lost their head coach. So, well, you know, I'll take those calls first, but the Yankees won. The Yankees are back home. It's about to get hot out here. It's about to get warm out here. They got to score runs. They got to get to the 9th with a 4-run lead minimum. They got scored 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 runs. Just I'm the type of person, that if the Yankees blow the game in the 9th, that is going to severely impact my mood for the next day until 7:05. Like, I can't do that, yo. I really can't. So I just hope that they get Devin Williams right, and it's not so much of a struggle or a battle. We'll get to it, but let's talk about Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks. Bones is in Connecticut first on the fan. What's up, Bones?
Yeah, I mean, shocking news today, but for me, I kind of thought it was necessary, but I didn't really think the team was going to do it. That absolutely shocked me. Now, the thing I'm worried about is, does this feel like a little bit of a knee-jerk response? I mean, the guy, like you said earlier, has brought this team, and maybe you could argue Jalen Brunson and co did it instead of him, but I mean, he was the coach on the team that brought the Knicks back to relevance.
Yeah, I think it's a knee-jerk reaction. I think it's a reaction that I think it's a decision that is made because they're upset. They're mad that the season went how it went, and I think a lot of this is tied into they talked about having a meeting with the players at the end of the season, like a season in review and going over things, and I think this came out of those conversations.
So you think it wasn't just Dolan who put his.
Ultimately, I think it was Dolan's decision. Yeah. We've heard about Leon Rose and his relationship with Tom Thibodeau. Rick Brunson and Jalen Brunson, we know their relationship with Tom Thibodeau. So, like, I think somebody overruled them all, and I think it had to be the owner.
Sure. Now, you look at the field, though, like, who are they going to replace him with? I mean, Johnny Bryant is the leading man in terms of the odds. I know he's, got experience with the team and whatnot, but are they going to shove somebody in here with a lack of experience? Or are they going to try and get them alone? Like, I don't see where this is. Like, I don't need a David Fizdale situation on my hands. I don't need that.
Yeah, and that's the next thing. Thanks for the call, Bones. So that this doesn't look like a knee-jerk reaction. It doesn't look like a reaction to the way that the season ended. You would like to see them move swiftly here. You would like to see them press the right buttons here, right? If you're a Knicks fan, you hope that there's a plan. You hope that this just wasn't like we lost to the Pacers back-to-back years. We interviewed the players on their exit meetings. Too many of the players had something to say about the coach. And so we listened to the players and we made a decision that it was time to go in another direction. Now, the Knicks released a statement. They said, our organization is singularly focused on winning a championship for our fans. This pursuit led us to the difficult decision to inform Tom Thibodeau that we've decided to move in another direction. We can't thank Tom enough for pouring his heart and soul into each and every day of being the New York Knicks head coach. He led us not only with his class, yada, yada, yada. Ultimately, we made a decision we feel is best for our organization moving forward. Okay. So, you felt like you needed a new voice. And, I get it, because the narrative around this coach is he's old school, he's stubborn, he's stuck in his ways, and he changed his ways. Did he change his ways because of conversations that were being had after they blew game one? I would like to know, because in that last game 6 press conference, he looked comfortable. He looked like he was setting up for an offseason. There was also a tweet from Bobby Marks referring to James Dolan on the Roommates podcast in March, where the quote was, there were times when we've sort of reached for that shiny, sparkly object. Maybe this is what we need, especially when things weren't going well. Let's bring in this guy and maybe he'll turn it all around for us. Sometimes it's players, sometimes it's a coach. What I learned over time is that doesn't work. It really doesn't. You really have to do fundamentals, the basics. You've got to build a team. You've got to build an organization. There is no waving a wand over a team and all of a sudden make it a great team. It doesn't happen. So if he just said that 3 months ago, less than 3 months ago, you're going against what you just said, because Tom Thibodeau built this team and built this run that your organization has been on of going to the playoffs, winning a round, now the progress of getting out of the second round, back-to-back 50-win seasons. Whose decision was it? That's why I think it's Dolan's. And I think when you're an owner and when you're not really in the trenches with these guys, you can kind of make a reaction like that. And you could also get the wrong information. They say if you want to make the wrong decision in life, get everybody's opinion on the subject. And maybe he had too many opinions on the subject. And there was a lot of talk, right, about Karl Anthony Towns and Brunson. And that's what's crazy, too. The coach gets fired and he's the fall guy. He takes the blame. But the players didn't play well enough. And I don't think there was any amount of coaching to get them to beat the Pacers. All day Sunday, I kept saying, tip your cap to the Pacers. Tip your cap to the Pacers. Their organization, their front office, small market team who found a way to build that team the right way. A team that's not paying any luxury tax. A team that back-to-back years knocked off big, bad New York City. Rick Carlisle, who's a champion, and knocked off a big three in LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh. And he's a good coach. Sometimes you got to tip your cap and just be like, yo, this team was better than us. We weren't beating them, even though we were favored. 888-808-1019. Sandy in Brooklyn on the Fan. What's up?
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Good.
My call. I just have to disagree with what you said. I don't think this was a knee-jerk reaction at all. We got annihilated by the best teams in the league all season long. Thibs did not have any counter punches. We had zero offensive game plan. This league has passed his coaching techniques by. It's a fast-paced league. We play slow. We cannot compete with the fast teams. If you think having JB dribbling the ball up and using 2/3 of the shot clock to get what he wants, and then dishing to guys when he's stuck or trapped or can't get his shot, these guys are never in position. The body language all season long. The players told you that. Look at the plus minus in the playoffs when JB was on the court. we were minus. Okay, Halliburton had double, triple the assists of him every game. JV had the ball in his hand every possession. Okay, and to blow, we built a 17-point lead in the first game. Okay, when he came back in, we blew that game. So, you know, that's the coach had to correct the problems, and he indicted himself when he had to use all those guys on the bench that never play in important minutes in the most important games of the season. So a change was needed. His offensive game plan. Wow.
Thanks for the call, Sandy. Now, in a knee-jerk reaction, this I said was percolating. There were conversations all year about Tom Thibodeau. There were conversations all year about him not playing his bench, the minutes police running guys down. But I think this was like this. He was safe after the Celtics series. Like, I think this came about because of the disappointment of how you lost to the Pacers. And if it's not a knee-jerk reaction, they better have some swift moves coming up. They better have a head coach in mind and some quick moves of how to improve this team. I know, watching these games and talking about these games, Thibs is a defensive coach. How come Thibs can't call timeout and draw up a play? How come he never has an inbound play? How come he's not calling timeout? Like, the guy had his flaws, but he's still the architect of this run of winning seasons. If you do not win at the clip that you've won, if you do not get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, there's going to be a lot of talk. But I understand, like I said, he's old, man. You know, they're showing the pictures of him with his mullet and how long he's been in the game. I mean, if you go back to Minnesota, you go back to Chicago, you go back to it's a reoccurring theme with him. This is the end of the road for him. But who's next? Young Alex in Lakewood is next. What's up, man?
So with the Knicks, first of all, I think one of their biggest problems is that 3 of their top 6 players have a problem that they have one very clear weakness that you could always attack. They need more well-rounded players. With Brunson and Towns, you need more well-rounded players and good defenders. I mean, although Mitchell Robinson's a good defender, he doesn't know how to knock down a free throw. So
yeah, if you're in the Eastern Conference Finals and you're starting Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Mitchell Robinson, Rick Carlisle knows exactly what to do to all 3 of them.
And let's say you trade
Josh Hart too.
He's making a nice amount of money. There's 3 guys I think Milwaukee's selling, and there's 2 free agents and 1 guy who has to opt out, who I think would all fit well in the Knicks. Bobby Portis, who's a former Knick, but he doesn't have weakness in his game. He plays everything good. I think he could fit over there.
No more second tours. Yeah, he was here when they had too many forwards.
Okay, Brook Lopez, you don't think could fit on the Knicks?
I think he's washed. Of course he could fit because he's a scoring big, but like he's 40.
He's very good defensively. This year he was top 10 center in the NBA defensively.
Yeah, I mean maybe they explore it because they got to explore every option.
He was one of the most underrated players in the box this year. He's shooting the 3 very well. He hustles. He plays defense.
So you're a Bucks fan, Alex. You want Giannis to the Knicks. You want the trade.
Giannis to the Knicks. I want him to go to San Antonio. I'm intrigued by Wembanyama and Giannis.
Okay. What are you thinking about the Yanks?
You know, what I'm thinking about the Yankees, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. But my rotation has 2 aces this year so early in the year. Imagine next year when Cole and Heel are back.
I start to do that, you know, and later we'll read some stuff from the Brian Hoke article about Garrett Cole. And, you know, I start to do that. And then I'm just like, I don't want to give up this year. What if this is the year? You know, what if we win it without Cole? That happens. You know, teams win without star players all the time. What if we win it without Cole? What if we can go back to back with Cole next year? Like, yeah, I know. It would be great to have Garrett Cole.
Year, we were talking about Chase Hampton before he got injured.
He got hurt, right? Didn't Chase Hampton get hurt this year?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Chase Hampton got hurt this year. He's getting Tommy John. Yes. Yanks pitching process. He got hurt in spring training, I believe. He's like very early. He's getting Tommy John, so he's going to be gone for a while.
I heard he threw out the first pitch by Somerset. Congrats.
Yeah, I'm rocking the Somerset Patriots Diners hat. Jazz was just there. Like I said in my open, he brought that energy from TD Ballpark. The Somerset Patriots are a great organization. I got to go see that tunnel that they always have the pictures of everybody coming out of. I really got a good experience over there last Friday.
Who do you see as, who do you think is going to be good?
I got to chop it up with Spencer Jones and George Lombard Jr. I know we've been waiting for Spencer Jones a little bit. George Lombard Jr., I think, is a guy who's on the fast track, and they both look pro ready.
Any underdogs that you think are going to be good or not?
This kid Martin, I got to look up. He was he had a good game when I was there, and we were talking about him.
I like all of our catchers, but the thing is they have way too many catchers. Wells was a top prospect. They have a guy in AAA. They have Flores in AA. They have way too many catchers.
You need more catchers. The Yankees always give away catchers.
You know them who are could be talented, but if you have Flores. If Wells starts hitting, then what are you doing with older catchers who you're just letting age in the minor leagues?
You're letting them develop. Thanks for the call, Alex. 888-808-1019. Taking Yankees calls. I know there's Yankee fans listening. We're coming off of the Yankees win and the Yankees post-game show. But, of course, I know there's a lot of people that have been waiting hours from Evan and Tiki to talk about the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau. You know, however you feel, we won't know whether this was the right decision, you know, for almost another year. I mean, we might know during the regular season. Let's see how these guys respond. Right. I say that I think it was a knee-jerk reaction because I don't think that the best player and captain of your team wanted this. I don't think that Leon Rose wanted this. But can we say that this was something? Yeah, this wasn't so far-fetched. I took calls. People were calling for his head in the Detroit Pistons series. But then you upset the Celtics and it's like, oh, he's safe. Look what he did, you know. He's safe. Look at the defense that they applied on the Celtics. I mean, a lot of that series was the Celtics just bricking shots and missing shots and being so stubborn about shooting the three and not doing anything else. But you give the guy credit. But you know what? I said this 100 times. There's no participation trophy to be had. There was no participation trophy for Tom Thibodeau beating the Celtics in the second round. Once you knock off the defending champs, you got to go get it. I didn't ever believe that they could win it. But they believed, their organization believed, and that's what the mission statement, that's what the memo that went out today said. The first sentence, our organization is singularly focused on winning a championship for our fans. And they don't believe that this guy can lead you to victory. He hadn't done it anywhere else, and that was the narrative as well. Some good teams, but never crack through and win. Some good teams, but they get run into the ground in the regular season. Some good teams, but they never have a bench. And when you're about to watch this finals, you're about to watch a lot of bench guys play. You're about to watch two teams that are not shy about playing 10 guys. And you got to adapt to the modern day NBA. So clearly, somebody in the building realized, hey, this guy is not going to adapt or change. We got to change. If we are in this window where we came in third out of all the NBA teams this year, and the writing is on the wall for us to take a step forward next year and potentially beat the Pacers, it's not going to come from Tom Thibodeau's old school mentality and schemes and strategy. We got to go somewhere else. But let's see where they go next. I don't know where they go next. And I think a lot of the fans were shocked today. I think a lot of the fans were looking around today saying, is this a mistake? Is this like the old Knicks? And then names started getting thrown out from Jay Wright to Dan Hurley, Mike Malone, Taylor Jenkins, Jeff Van Gundy, Johnny Bryant. I think the sooner they can name a guy, Jason Kidd, I think the sooner they can name a guy, the sooner you'll feel better about it. And you know, these off seasons for the NBA, they go quick. And you got to start putting the pieces of the puzzle together fast. And from what I believe, okay, you got rid of the coach now. He's the fall guy. You know, heads have to roll. You got to sacrifice somebody for this, you know, coming up short, this pain that your fans are feeling, losing in 6 to the Pacers, losing to the Pacers back-to-back years. But what do you do now? Who's the next guy? 888-808-1019. Jay is out in Brooklyn on the fan. What's up, Jay?
Hey, how you doing, Keith? First, my cousin told me to call up and voice my opinion, so that's what I'm doing. I feel like firing Thibodeau was a great move. If you look at Thibodeau, like one, he's stubborn, and the definition of insanity is to repeatedly do the same thing, expecting different results. Look at the offense he ran with the Chicago Bulls. Derrick Rose, you do everything. The rest of y'all play defense and try to get involved where you can. He goes to Minnesota. Basically, he has Cat and Andrew Wiggins there and Jimmy Butler. You kind of do your thing and get these dudes involved, and y'all dudes play defense. And then he comes to the Knicks. And as good as Jalen Brunson is, it's the same thing. We have no player development. We don't move the ball around. I'll tell you another reason I feel like he should be fired. I'll give you a name. Obi Toppin. He went from playing 5 minutes a game because Thibodeau had him nailed to the bench because he wouldn't go into the rotation, started with Indiana, and now he's playing 15 to about 18 minutes a game, and he's a solid contributor on a team going to the championship. But our coach, we're the team that drafted him, and we couldn't do nothing else. And then we got to get rid of Kitten Town. I'm so tired of Kitten not being able to. Ask you something, Keith. When the last time you seen Kitten dunk on somebody? Let's be real. Go to the hole and just impose his will and dunk on somebody. He was the tallest and heaviest dude in almost all 3 of these series. And I think for the playoffs, he got 2 blocks.
Did he only have 2 blocks? I don't know if that stat is correct. I feel like he had more than 2 blocks. I know he had a ton of rebounds, but I also gave him some grace because he had the knee, he had the finger. But you're right. As big as he is, he doesn't play like he should. Like there should be more Shaquille O'Neal type dunks. There should be more aggression and attitude. There's a lot of falling on the ground. There's a lot of crying for the refs.
I'll do you one better. He doesn't. I feel like Miles Turner and them got all their fouls battling Mitchell Robinson for offensive and defensive rebounds because when Kitten has the ball, he's comfortable just pulling a 3, taking fadeaways. He's not even putting pressure on them 9 times out of 10. He had that one good game where he was going to the hole. He was being dominant. He getting to the foul line. And guess what? That was the game we was able to slow them down. We was able to stop Indiana from scoring. But any other time, guarding Kitten, you get a free one. Because he's the biggest dude out there. He comes to the box to post up, and next thing you know, Miles Turner got him getting a handoff from the guard at the 3-point line because he done pushed the rat far out.
So you expect them to move on from him? You expect they fired the coach, and you expect them to move on from this guy after 1 year?
Listen, this is the same losing combination that Minnesota had to get away from, and I just feel like we need to bring somebody in here who can take the ball out of Brunson's hands. I think for us to win, he cannot be averaging 28. He needs to be around 23, 24. We need to get ball movement around. We need to start. Tom Thibodeau was playing campaign. I'd rather him bring in Tyler Kovic, which I know is going to get about 4 or 5 assists in about 10, 12 minutes, and bring in campaign who's going to shoot 5.
He's leaning on the veteran and the experience of playing in the playoffs versus a rookie. But I heard you, Jay. For real. I get it. I get it. And I'm not a Knicks fan, so I don't have the passion. I don't have the pain like that, but I understand. I don't know where they go. This is a perplexing Pegasus. You fired a coach and anything goes now. Cat is not safe. You want KD? You want Giannis? Maybe. I think they're going to try and bring in a made man, a star player. That's what they did bringing in Cat. He was an all-star this year. He was y'all MVP at points of this year. He was compared to Ewing at points of this year. He won you games in this playoffs, but ultimately it wasn't good enough. So you're ready to move on from him after 1 year, after giving up Randall, after giving up DiVincenzo to get him? I don't know. They were all technicalities because you couldn't pay Ihart. Mitch was hurt, so you needed a big. And supposedly Leon Rose had his eye on Cat for a couple years, and they punched it. What about Bridges? Is Bridges going to take less to be on this team? I just think anything goes now. Brunson, I think, obviously is safe. Captain, took less, and the savings on his contract kick in this upcoming season. I don't know. I don't know, but like, I'm not paid to know. Leon Rose better have a plan, because that's the only way that this decision doesn't look like a mistake. 888-808-1019. It feels like a decision that's kind of brash. It feels like a decision made off of emotion. It feels like they just got tired of Tom Thibodeau. And I don't know how many voices were voicing that they were tired of Tom Thibodeau. I don't know. Like Mikal Bridges spoke up during the season about the minutes, saying it played a bench. I really don't think, somebody in my live chat was like, oh, Jalen Brunson signed off on it. I'm like, nobody knows that. How do you know? I'm sure he knew about it, but like, we just heard him Saturday night almost take offense to being asked a question. So I don't know, man. I don't know where they go from here, but they need answers fast. And this fan base is going to be highly upset if they take a step back. But that's another thing too. If you take a step back for a year, but then you're able to get there in 2027 or 2028, and that's probably it, because the window for Brunson and like this group as it's currently constituted is probably only for the next 2 to 3 seasons at the most. David is in Virginia on the Fan next. What's up, David?
Hi, Keith. Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
You got it.
So let's assume that the Knicks can't change their personnel. They really don't have much. They don't have any draft capital to trade. So Towns and Brunson are going to be back, and we know that both are defensive liabilities. Thibs' scheme defensively obviously didn't work against Indiana. Indiana was able to gain a competitive advantage every possession. The Knicks need a coach cut from the Nick Nurse, Eric Spoelstra cloth. Coaching really magnifies itself in games decided by 10 points or fewer. What a Nurse and Spoelstra are able to do, they're able to mix in a little bit of zone. Tom Thibodeau is a great defensive coach, but he has not shown an ability to mix in a zone. And when you're trying to defend the three-point line, and when you don't have great pick and roll defenders, you need some way to take away the three, and you got to be able to mix in a zone after a timeout.
I just sent you some audio from Mad Dog talking today. Can you listen to it? Make sure it's clean. I think it is.
For a fourth quarter, ride it out. Nick Nurse was obviously very successful mixing in a triangle and two.
Okay.
If it wasn't for a triangle and two and obviously a bunch of injuries, he wouldn't have an NBA championship, and he wouldn't be as renowned as the coach that he is. Spoelstra is obviously known as a guy who can mix in a zone well. You're not going to get.
Should we break, or am I taking this to the top?
I think it's critical that the next coach of the Knicks, because of the fact that they don't have great defensive personnel, and I don't want to move on from Karl Anthony Towns because there aren't a lot of guys like him. He is a very versatile big man. Is he perfect? Of course he's not perfect. If he was perfect, we wouldn't be able to get him. And Jalen Brunson is also a defensive liability. So for 7 to 8 possessions a game, potentially 3 to 4 critical possessions in the second half of a game, I would like to see a coach who can mix in a zone. And I just want to get your thoughts on that.
You might be right. You might be on to some. Thank you for the call, David. I think it's deeper than that too. Like mixing in a zone. I think they're going to keep this combination and just add a deeper bench and some other player, maybe one other player. And I only say that because I just don't see a world where what you gave up to get Karl Anthony Towns and what you gave up to get Mikal Bridges, what do you expect to get back now after 1 year? The ransom that you paid for Bridges, you're not getting half that back. And if everybody in New York is this down on Karl Anthony Towns, who is looking at him like, yeah, send him over here. We want him. It's a lot to think about. It's a this is a hell of an equation. This is calculus to get this Knicks team over this hump, to get this Knicks team. I can't wait to watch the Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder play. We're going to learn a lot watching those two teams play. And I think the Knicks are waiting to watch those two teams play as well so they can make some decisions on what they need to do to match up with them. Because it's not only the Pacers, right? You beat the Pacers and you get to the finals next year, like in theory, right? And we don't know what the complexion of the NBA is going to look like. We don't know who's going to be hurt. We don't know whatever. But in theory, it's the Pacers standing in your way for these 2 years. They could be standing in your way next year. You beat them, and let's say you face OKC in the finals and you don't have anything for them. What, are you going to fire the next coach? You're going to get rid of the next? Like, no, I think this is the group. Honestly, I just think that what you gave up to get these guys, you gave up that price because you feel like these are the guys, and you just got to improve this team around the margins and get the right leader, get the right coach. Immediately, I thought, hey, they need a younger voice. They need a more modern NBA coach, an offensive-minded guy. Like, it's not too complicated to implement a zone and tell these guys, what part of the floor to be in. Let's take another Knicks call here, and then when we come back, I want to play Mad Dog. I heard Mad Dog going off today, and you know what? I always am glad when things like this happen during the day, and I get some time to listen to everybody else and think about it, and then come talk to you guys, because like hours have gone by. I think it was a mistake, and I'm sticking to where I was about running it back and staying the course and continuity and evolving and gelling and growing. And I just feel like, okay, now you got a different head coach coming in. You might as well, if you change the coach, like that's starting at the top. You change the coach, go ahead and change the team. Try to trade Karl-Anthony Towns. Try to trade Bridges, but I don't see you getting back what you think for them. And I don't think guys like Giannis or KD are the answer. I don't. One more call, we'll break, and we'll say good morning on the other side, and we'll start with Mad Dog to kick us off after 12 a.m. Chris in Port Washington on the Fan. What's up, Chris?
First of all, how are you going to set me up to have Mad Dog behind me?
You got it. Nah, you got it. Forget I even said that.
Dude, man, that will tight. All right, so listen. The Warriors, underrated trade partner. They should get something for them, right? The Magic trade partner, you get something for them, right? And the Suns trade partner. Rose has to get rid of Towns. Yeah, because if he doesn't get rid of Towns, now it looks like the players are running loose out. And if he doesn't get rid of Towns, this smells and reeks of the old Knicks. This smells like a dog.
Yeah.
It really does. You know what? The biggest stuff. I want to get rid of both. I would get rid of both of them, because there are guys out there who aren't on the Supermax that would take Towns. Towns is built for Orlando, right? Him and Curry play together. They have that. They need a center. What's stopping them from trading Jimmy Butler? You get Jimmy Butler and the forward, and you give up Towns and Big Brad or something like that. There's ways to get rid of it. There's ways to get. He is going to be the scapegoat forever. He's going to be the Alex Rodriguez. He is going to be the guy that is blamed for everything. And who's wants to hitch his wagon to that star? They're in trouble. Would you say no if the Magic and the Nets and the Knicks all got together and the Knicks got Jonathan Isaac for Towns and then they had money to go out and give him a Cal Beasley?
Jonathan Isaac? I don't know.
I'll tell you what. You get me Beasley, Steven Adams, or then you get me Beasley, Keith Mitch, and Jonathan Isaac. You have $40 million left, or $30 million left. Financial stability.
Is that going to be a championship caliber squad? Like, is that gonna? That's the goal now. That's what I'm saying. The stakes are higher than ever now.
Okay, if you could, but then you could take that money and sign a player to score. They're not going to go anywhere. This is another thing too. They're not going to go anywhere until they get a shooting guard. They have no guy up to the Brooklyn ball. Because the way teams do things, they didn't practice all year. Nobody seems to recognize it. The Knicks don't practice. He brings them into a gym in August. He sweats them out to death. Conditions, that's it. All of their sets, the defense, their plays, it's all done. Right? They don't go over this shit. Stuff that's crisp enough.
Thanks for the call, Chris. I don't know. Anyway, update in the Dodgers game. The Dodgers are not really, or the Mets are really, it's the Met game. The Mets are battling the Dodgers, and after Juan Soto homered to make it 4-3, the Mets make it happen and follow up. This is a Pete Alonso and Juan Soto game right now. Pete Alonso doubled, and Francisco Lindor scored after he worked a walk. And now the Mets have the lead 5-4. I believe Tyler McGill is through 5, and now we are in the bottom or the top of the 6. So keep an eye on the Mets, still taking calls on the Yankees. But I understand you guys want to get your thoughts across and your opinions across on Tom Thibodeau, and you should. If you're a Knicks fan right now, you got to be either excited or worried. And either one is perfectly fine because that's what happens with the unknown. 888-808-1019. Coming up next, I do want to play Mad Dog. And I still want to hear you guys trade machines. Like, I never used to be on that trade machine. But I know people are always on that NBA trade machine trying to cook some stuff up. And I want to know, like, I guess, is that the next move, right? You get rid of Tom Thibodeau. You got to get rid of Karl-Anthony Towns. Something tells me that it's not that simple. Something tells me that, you have 2 all-star starters this year in Brunson and Towns. You're just going to get a different coach that can get the most out of them and then add a couple other different pieces around them to make the team better. But maybe he's right. I don't know. Maybe you got to get rid of Karl-Anthony Towns because he's going to be the fall guy. I don't know, man. I just think this is now a high-stakes game of poker. You got to play the cards you're dealt, and you got to play your hand right. If not, you're going to crap out. You're going to be at the table with 0, and these fans are going to be mad as hell. All right, I'll say good morning on the other side, and we'll kick it off with a little Mad Dog. But taking your calls at 888-808-1019. Call up now. Keith McPherson on the Fan. KM to AM returns right after this. Yay or nay with the Thibs decision? Yes or no as far as a good decision?
Knee jerk, no, but tell me who the next coach is.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying. I'm like, it might not be a knee-jerk decision because this has been conversation the whole season. But if you don't have somebody lined up, that's where it seems like a knee-jerk. It's like, what's the
I
plan?
also need to know who made the decision, and I'll know who's the new hire.
Yeah.
if it's Jay Wright, if it's Dan Hurley, then I know James Dolan got involved. And
Yep, because it's a name hire. Yeah.
If it's Johnny Bryant, then I know Leon Rose thought.
Yeah,
Thibs is
this
not
guy
the
was
guy.
here. Yep. And there's continuity bringing this guy back that was here.
Look,
And he's younger and innovative.
to
And
me, I really think that, people talk about the minutes or whatever. To me, it's about Karl Anthony Towns has the ability to be the MVP in the league.
Yeah.
He's that good. But he's inconsistent and he's his own worst enemy. If they think somebody else can get more out of him than Thibs, and you're rolling the dice on that, I'm listening. I don't have to agree with you, but at least it's a sound thought. I'm just concerned that it's Dolan going. People say he plays everybody too much.
yeah, that's why I said
that's-
you get too many opinions and you make a decision and it's like, all right, what now though?
You could say that Dolan has been hands off the last few years. He has, but he was hands on when they were a mess. He backed off. Now they're this close, and he feels like maybe I can get him. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I need to know if he's involved, then this is a disaster.
It
If
just
he's not-
feels like it because like
I know.
it feels like it has to be like, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it just confused me because I'm like, I was saying Sunday and my show Monday, Rick Brunson and Jalen Brunson are Thibs guys. Like Brunson,
going nowhere. But yes,
they're not going anywhere. But
Jalen
like
and Thibs being so tight. Yeah, your best player loves his coach.
Leon Rose, wasn't Leon Rose his
Agent.
agent? So he's
No,
not
exactly.
undercutting him. Like they're
Well-
looking out for each other. They're in this together.
But Leon Rose also knows Thibs better than anybody else. If he
And
looks
knows,
at him and goes,
yeah, this is the end of the
I
road,
wanted
Jack.
Cat, and I can't get the most out of Cat with you, then I'm sorry, but you got to go so I can get the most out of Cat. Because if next year we don't get to where it is, we are all out.
Right.
So sometimes there's self-preservation if that's his decision, or if it's Dolan just over the top. Who knows? That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know, and God knows they'll never tell us because Leon Rose doesn't speak to anybody. Good morning at 12 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by police officers right2sue.com. Tyler McGill was smacked around for 4 runs in the first inning, but he has settled down and the Mets have come back. McGill has gone out 5 in the third inning. He's given up the 4 runs. Max Muncy a 2-run shot, but the Mets have come back for a 5-4 lead on the Dodgers in the bottom of the 6th inning. Juan Soto, a big 2-run shot that came in the third. Pete Alonso's knocked in a pair. Brandon Nimmo's knocked in a run as well. McGill has really settled in here now, 5 2/3, 7 strikeouts. Clayton Kershaw chased after 4 2/3. Mets a 5-4 lead on the Dodgers, bottom of the 6th inning, looking to take the first 2 of this 4-game set. Meanwhile, Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe went back-to-back in the 7th. DJ LeMahieu knocked in a run. Yankees able to hold up the Guardians 3-2. Carlos Rodon, great again, a run for 7, 8 Ks. Devin Williams may just sweat, but able to secure the win despite giving up a run and needing 30 pitches in the 9th. And following the Game 6 loss in Indiana, Jalen Brunson was asked if he felt Tom Thibodeau was the right man to take the Knicks to the next level and a championship. Now, apparently, the Knicks hierarchy disagrees. Thibodeau fired after 5 seasons with the Knicks, led them to the playoffs 4 times, including their first trip to the Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years. 67 degrees, clear skies, Central Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Good morning, good morning. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be better than all right. Keith McPherson on the fan. Shout out to everybody in the live stream. Shout out to Chris Nalina, who said, I personally would love to hear more Yankees talk right now instead of talk about the Knicks related stuff, because all day long tomorrow they'll talk about the Knicks like today on the station. And if you go back from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it is now Wednesday morning. Good morning, KM to AM. I've got till 2 in the morning, and we will talk about the Yankees because I'd rather talk about the Yankees, but we got to play Mad Dog Russo weighing in. And you just heard what I was referencing with the captain, the clutch player of the year, Jalen Brunson, after the series. And that's why, like, it's not a knee-jerk reaction because this isn't something that came out of the blue. This is something that had been talked about this whole season. This is something that had been expected because the expectation was that the Knicks would be knocked out in the second round, inevitably facing the Celtics. But even when they got past the Celtics, right, Thibs still wasn't safe. You thought that that was his saving grace. But then when you're favored to beat the Pacers, the small market Pacers, and you're big bad New York City, and you blow that game one, like that's enough to get fired right there. And then you being stubborn and changing your ways, showing that you could adapt, but it being too little too late, and your bench not really being able to hang with those guys, like that's a negative mark. And ultimately, somebody has to take the fall because forever, folks are going to feel like this was a year that the Knicks could have got it done. I didn't feel that way. But, like, the path was there. In theory, right, the 1 seed, the 2 seed were knocked out. You had home court advantage against the Pacers. Like, there are some people that are going to forever feel like this was the Knicks' opportunity. Why did they not make it to the finish line? And they're not going to blame the players because they're going to need these players. Heads have to roll, and they fired the coach. And that's show business, man. That's New York City, man. It is tough like that in the NBA. My boy Wallace was calling it 2 weeks ago, right? I was like, man, there were people calling it like, yo, like there were people that were saying that beating the Celtics. Okay, they beat the Celtics in the second round. That's not the Eastern Conference Finals. Like that doesn't mean anything. It's cool, but that's a participation trophy. Hang the banner. We're not hanging the banner for that. Thibs' flaws shine through. Again, the narrative around him rang true again. And as much as I talked about the pattern of the Heat losing in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics losing in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Pacers losing in the Eastern Conference Finals, and those teams all going on, right? That is a pattern, but there's also a pattern in the NBA. I was just talking to Alex about it, right? You probably heard them earlier talking about Phil Jackson and the Bulls when he came in. But if you use more recent times, we always reference Mark Jackson being fired and then Steve Kerr taking the Warriors to the promised land. Dwayne Casey with the Raptors being let go, and then Nick Nurse coming in and being the championship head coach. I think that's what the Knicks are trying to do here. Okay, yes, you got us back to relevance. You got us back to prominence. You got us back to consistently winning and getting to the playoffs, but we'll take it from here. And the only way that this doesn't look like a knee-jerk reaction, the only way that this doesn't look like a James Dolan reaction is if Leon Rose, who was Tom Thibodeau's agent, if Leon Rose and the Knicks front office have the next guy ready and that guy gets the best out of this team, or they have the next coach ready, they change the team, they get rid of Cat, they get rid of Bridges, whatever they do, and then that team takes the next step forward. But we don't know that. We got to wait on that. We can't definitively say what is going to be today. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Mad Dog, just because Mad Dog makes me laugh when he goes in like this. Like today was one of those days, man. Today was one of those days where if you weren't listening to the radio, you turn the radio on. And today is one of those days, like I already mentioned, Evan and Tiki, they started their show. They were spot on. And man, shout out to Ian Begley, who Ian Begley was on it, and people wanted to question his reporting, but Evan and Tiki started their show today. And I thought that, I mean, it being Evan was going to talk about, you know, the Mets and beating the Dodgers and what they did the night before. And I mean, shout out to the Mets right now as well, getting Clayton Kershaw out of this game. And now here we are on the top of the seventh. They got a 1-run lead. Their bullpen has been nails, knock on wood and all that, not trying to jinx anything. Tyler McGill is done. We'll get to that in a second, and we'll get to the Yankee calls, I promise. But let's continue with this audio from Mad Dog, and I'll take these Knicks calls, and then I will transition us into the baseball. I know it's been a ton of Knicks. I know it's been a ton of, repetitive conversations talking about the same players and the same things, but, like, this is a product of them being successful. You don't talk about them like this when they're bums. This is a product of them getting to the Final Four, them, getting to the 6th game of the Eastern Conference Finals, and now the fans want more. So let's hear from Chris Mad Dog Russo after the decision to fire Tom Thibodeau today.
Oh, absolutely.
Dolan has not.
Absolutely. I made a few calls before the show. They all told me the same thing.
I'll take your word for it.
And these people have unbelievable influence within the Knicks organization for the last 50 years. Don't remain cold.
So, I mean, you know, Mad Dog's been in the game for a long time. Longer than I've been alive. He's been out here. And I know he's been wrong in some of his predictions and things he said. Remember a couple years ago, he said he would retire if the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies. But, you know, that's a definitive statement. There's another rant from him that I want to get up here as well. We'll take another call. But, like, it does kind of make you feel like this. When Jalen Brunson laughs off a reporter, like, are you seriously asking me that right now? Yeah. And his dad is on the staff of Tom Thibodeau. And, you know, all of us felt like this guy was safe because they did make progress. I was just going on and on about how this is a successful year. I know it hurts in the moment, but this is a successful year. Run it back. It seems like the owner, who had been kind of, at least what we thought, hands off, and that's why the Knicks actually figured some things out. It seemed like Dolan kind of took a step back, and I read that quote from Dolan on the Players podcast, on the Roommates podcast, less than 3 months ago, saying what he learned over time is that, like, you can't wave a magic wand, that you have to have the fundamentals, the basics. You got to build a team. You got to build an organization. Maybe he grew impatient. 888-808-1019. Ray is in Brooklyn on the fan. What's up, Ray?
Hey, Keith, how you doing, man?
Good.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I felt some type of way about this whole Tom Thibodeau thing because it kind of makes me question, because I remember even you saying it. This team just basically starting out.
This is year one.
You give them another year, they'll learn their function as a cohesive unit. But now that Thibodeau's gone, who's next? You're not even giving this team a chance.
But see, that's the thing, right? That's the question that we can't answer today. It might not be answered in a week. It might not be, it doesn't have to be answered. If they don't have that answer, it leads us to believe that this was done out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the other caller said, I feel like this is, it makes you feel like that Dolan thing all over again. We're back to square one.
And we know Dolan can be a tyrant. Thanks for the call, Ray. And I got to tread lightly. I got to chill. Because if I do want to go to the Garden for any reason, I don't want to be marked. And you know the history of WFAN. Shout out to Maggie. Like, they don't forget about this thing. That's why we don't ever have any Knicks on the air. I'm probably about to get a text in a minute like, chill, bro. Chill. Don't do it. You see what they did to Oak. Like, I don't know. When this all shook out today, I thought about it and I'm like, Leon Rose never has to meet the media. And the Knicks are this team that unites the fans in New York. That's like, they're the, you always have to, you hear consistently from David Stearns. You hear consistently from Brian Cashman. You even hear consistently from Lil Sean Marks. And then even with Joe Shane and like Joe Douglas and now Darren Mooch, like you hear from the GMs. But after this run that the Knicks, today would be a day for him to pop out. He's not popping out. And he won't pop out. And he doesn't have to. But Dolan has. Dolan came in here. Dolan was in this studio with Carton and Roberts not too long ago. I don't think they're gonna say anything. I don't think they're gonna meet the media. They're gonna let their fans stew in this. They'll leave it to us media members, me hosting the show, Big Mac coming up next to talk to you guys about it. But my thing is, okay, if this was part of a plan, we need to know who the next guy is sooner rather than later, and we need to know what they're doing with this team ASAP. John in Far Rockaway, what's up, John?
Good. I think I might actually have the only reason, logically, why I think they might have done this. Now, if they trade Bridges and Cat, that would show me knee-jerk reaction complete. The only thing I can think of is they hire Mike Malone because Malone was.
Yo, can you see that tweet that I sent you? Can you have Fleeks listen to that other Russo rant?
Bring in Malone carefully develop Pat's game, but to me, this looks like Pat and Bridges complaining to front office, complaining to World Wide West, Leon Rose, the owner. You guys brought us here, and we don't like this guy. We constantly played for him.
Sure.
Responsible for getting Thibodeau out of Minnesota the first time around when they
Cat got him fired twice. I saw some people saying that Cat got him fired twice. That's crazy.
I mean, those are the only two logical things that I can think of if you're trying to eliminate Dolan from the equation.
Yeah, and thanks for the call, John. Like the money you owe Tom Thibodeau, what they say, like $30 million? Who has more equity? Obviously, the players that just got here that did give you this best season and this run, and the players, what they cost. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I gave up this many picks in the future for Mikal Bridges, and Mikal Bridges did have two epic moments in that Celtics series, which was, that's the series they won. That's how you'll really remember this year, beating the Celtics in the fashion that you beat them in back-to-back games, coming back from 20 down, and both of those games ending with Mikal Bridges putting the clamps on them and taking the ball and throwing the ball. Like, he's got some cachet. He's got some equity in the organization. And like I said, you can't trade him anywhere and get anything back close to what you gave up. And then same thing with Karl-Anthony Towns. You moved on from Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo to get him. He's also a local guy. They had these exit meetings and talked to the players, and they might have just asked him, yay or nay, yes or no to this coach. Brunson was probably a yes. Josh Hart was probably a yes. OG probably didn't say a damn thing. OG probably just said none of the above, just act like he didn't hear the question, had his hoodie up and left. And there's a good chance that Bridges, who was vocal about the minutes, and remember that back and forth, because Tom Thibodeau tried to play like they didn't talk, like that didn't happen when in the media. And I'm telling you, that's a whole nother tricky dynamic about being the head coach of the New York Knicks with this New York media. They're going to ask you all these type of things. And if one of your players says, oh, yeah, well, we did this or said this. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's compounded, though, because it can't just be the players against the coach. It's also some of the obvious flaws of this head coach, this modern day NBA, and wanting to make a change now because this window is closing and you feel like, okay, potentially all we got to do, like Tatum is down next year. The Cavaliers with Kenny Atkinson, look at the jump that they made changing their coach in 1 year. If we change the coach, maybe next year we're the 1 seed. Maybe next year we get past the Pacers. But who's the coach? Somebody tell me who the coach is. Is it Johnny Bryant? I don't know. When I think about it being Dolan too, and like the fact that Bobby Marks put that tweet out where he said, like, there were times when we sort of reached for that shiny, sparkly object, thinking maybe this is what we need. I feel like Dolan is going back to that, and it doesn't work like that, man. Like, don't tell me that the Knicks have to get somebody who's won a championship before. Who has won a championship for the New York Knicks? They haven't won in 52 years. It's different over here. And, like, don't tell me they need another name. Tom Thibodeau was a name. I don't know. This is an interesting subject. Let's go to Alhanis. What's up, man? In Queens, you're on the fan.
Free Charles Oakley, man, first and foremost.
Word.
Yeah, man, we miss the guy, man. I could just imagine him with the guys taking pics with LaTrust, Will, John Starks. We need Oakley back in the Garden, for sure.
Yeah, he was just on the podcast talking, and you know what? Like, I seen him in Brooklyn. He's welcome in the Barclays Center. And when they put him up on the big screen in Brooklyn, they don't play any of his Knicks highlights.
Typical Jim Dolan running Garden. What can you expect? But so Thibs, right? Thibs, first and foremost, man. Shout out to Thibs, man. He took us out the mud, man. He made the playoffs. What was it? 4 out of 5 years, back-to-back 50-win season. Unfortunately, he's just a victim of his own success, right? He raised the bar, but let's face it, he's also, a bit stubborn. Him not paying the bench, losing game one might have done it for him. I mean, this series should have gone to game 7 at least. But would I have fired him today? Probably not. I would at least given him one more season. If you look at the Pacers, they had the starting five for the past 2 or 3 seasons. OKC, them as well. I would say run it back one more season with the same group that we had. I know it's going to be a challenge to have Bridges. We have to make a decision on him. Are we going to re-sign him? I mean, is he a $30 million player? Probably not. But we did give him 5 draft picks for him. We're definitely not getting that back. So that's going to be pretty tough to do. So Jim Dolan, this has everything written all over him. I mean, this seems to be something that happened unexpectedly. The season's not even over yet. He must have been frustrated and said, I want this guy gone. Typical Jim Dolan kind of stuff, man. But we'll see what happens, and hopefully, we'll get some things moving as far as coaching goes. I'm hearing a lot of names out there just like you are, but if I had to pick somebody right now, it has to be Malone. Reason being is because he had a center. He had Jokic, 3-time MVP. Hopefully he could do something with town. The guy did win a championship, so if I had to guess, it has to be him.
Thanks for the call. And I don't know, I feel like Mike Malone it was such an easy, and that's another reason why this, you could say this wasn't a knee-jerk reaction, because when they fired Mike Malone in Denver, Knicks fans and people in New York were saying that's the next coach of the New York Knicks. When Thibs gets knocked out in the second round again, they're going to hire the guy from Queens. There's people saying, well, if they do go get Giannis, go get Mike Budenholzer. I don't think you want him either. Frank Isola threw Jason Kidd out there. Jason Kidd coached Giannis, and he coached Jalen Brunson. I don't know, man. It is a perplexing Pegasus. And I do feel like Jim Dolan, this has kind of Woody Johnson vibes, right? Like Woody Johnson fired Rob Saleh week 5 and it was like, wait, hold on, yo. I guess the writing was on the wall for Rob Saleh to be fired. But right now, because they also could have fired Tom Thibodeau during the season, this upcoming season. We see that happen all the time, right? If they felt like, I don't know. When I got that alert today, I don't know how many texts I got. I was talking to a couple people at the same time, and it's like the whole world got hit at this. Like 3 different people that I was talking to around that time. Yo, Thibs, I think Paulie hit me. My boy Gabe hit me. Somebody else that I was talking to in that moment was like, yo, what? So it was a shock. Now what's next? Now you have to make the right hire. And also you got to make a move. And it will feel like old Knicks, typical Knicks, like a mistake if they don't make the right moves here. You can't play around with this type of stuff. Like that's why. And I guess you know what? There's 2 sides of the coin. One side of the coin tells you play it safe and stick with the guy that got you here, dance with the one that brung you, and hope that he can continue to adapt and evolve, and that the team can continue to gel and work on their chemistry. And, together they overcome this. And I feel like that's a part of sports, right? Like you lose to the Pacers back-to-back years, that motivates them. Patrick Mahomes just came out and talked about how losing to the Eagles in the Super Bowl, like that's motivating him. That's giving him that extra in a workout, right? When you're tired or whatever, like that type of stuff for groups help them together. But this could be a different group, and it's definitely going to be a different leader of the group now. So I just think you need answers fast, and you're not going to get answers fast. So you're going to have to stew in this one. And the longer that you stew in it, and the longer that you think about it, and the longer things don't happen, and because the draft is coming up in 3 weeks, and then free agency hits. And when you heard Tom Thibodeau, I put the video out because he was just talking after the season like he was safe. Did somebody assure him that he was safe? Did someone have those? Because he was talking about the process. He said it's a big offseason for us and what they got to go through, what they got to do. So how do you get to the exit meetings as a group, and a day or two after the exit meetings, the coach gets chopped? Well, you better have a good guy in mind. You better have the successor, the next coach that's going to be, because it has happened before. But I got a feeling that they don't have the next guy in mind. I think they have a handful of guys in mind. They have a couple guys. And, I heard the comparison today, and we'll start to transition into the Yankees, about Joe Girardi, who got to Game 7 of the ALCS and ultimately fell short of the World Series. But he already had a World Series ring from 2009. And the Yankees felt like they needed a different voice, a younger coach with younger methods. And they also needed somebody that they could work with closer in a Joe Girardi than they felt like they could. And, younger players like a Gary Sanchez, I guess he was too hard on, and that's, kind of leaning into the players and letting them control the franchise. It's not the recipe for success that people think it is. It took Aaron Boone, 8 years to get past where Joe Girardi got? I don't know, man. I don't know. For the Knick fan now, the Knick fan is thirsty. And not even thirsty. Like, you were thirsty. Now you got that taste in your mouth of being close, and you started to have those dreams, and you were closer than ever, where that dream of a parade, that dream of a finals, the dream of the garden floor saying finals and that script on it. And like, now that's where the bar is. When the bar going into the season was, let's get to the second round. Maybe if we can get out of the second round, that'd be cool with this team. Like, if we can beat the Celtics, this team was beat the Celtics. Hopefully we can do that. Now the bar is, you got to get to the finals. You got to get out of the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's going to be tough for a first-time head coach. I think they need to hire a veteran coach. And I do think Dolan is looking for a splashy move. I do think he's looking for somebody with a name that kind of comes in with some gravitas, because that's also a way to quell the fans, to kind of calm people down. It's like, it might be a Mike Malone, but who knows if he's the right guy to work with this team. You got to possibly tweak the team. I just think when you get this close, man, you don't want to be figuring so much. When you get this close to the promised land, you want to stick with what got you, because starting over, who wants to start over? I've been joking, like trolling my Knicks fan friends, and been like, what rebuild time? It's not a rebuild. It's a retool, but it feels like you might actually be rebuilding. Robbie is in Lennox on the fan. What's up, Robbie?
Good morning, Keith.
Good. How are you?
I'm gonna be good. I'm all right, man. First of all, I'll be at Yankee Stadium on Sunday night. Where are you sitting?
I would love to go Sunday night. I am still negotiating going. I'm going Friday, and I'm negotiating going Thursday and Friday. I won't be able to go Sunday.
Your wife lets you out every night. That's good. Good for you.
Tonight I had the boy. I did the whole nighttime routine. Gave my wife a break, so I'm gonna do that again tomorrow, and then I think I can figure out the weekend.
There you go. Anyway, listen about the Yankees first before we get to the Knicks. Now that Weaver's out, the question is, do you trust this guy can have bullpen again tonight? Again, he gives up a hit, and you're nervous again. It might be a job. That's what it's like. The acquisition of a guy that's supposed to be a lights out closer. Every time he comes out, he scares you, right? I mean, so what are they supposed to
scare? Like every at bat scares me, and he had some battles tonight, and I'm just like, I'm prepared for the worst because I've seen it.
Right, it's Cleveland. When you talk about only Cleveland here, that's not very good.
It could be anybody. It could be the Tampa Bay Rays, the Detroit Tigers.
I mean, to me, the guy that doesn't have stuff that is like basically close out, strike out stuff scares you. When your best pitch, when your lights out pitch is a changeup, that's bothersome to me. That's the problem. But it's been a fun season so far. Hopefully Weaver gets back quickly. I mean, Keith, it's hard to complain. I mean, then we got walled by the Dodgers. We came back with another 7-3 winning on the road. I mean, to me, it's been a really good season so far. So not a lot of things to complain about. Baby Bombers are fun. The team's going well. It's a much better built team than Cashman. Cashman doesn't have any years right now. Cashman's sort of actually, using his brain now. He's got, into this stubbornness about putting heavy teams together. You got guys now to put the ball in play for the most part. We got a different team, so we'll see what happens. But about the Knicks, I was shocked about Thibs getting fired today. But I'll be honest with you, I was fired him after game 1 of the Indiana series. That was the worst 2 minutes and 32 seconds of coaching I've ever seen. It's not really his fault.
what does an NBA coach do today? Okay, first of all, do you really think Thibs sits in the huddle and says, okay, guys, let's launch 40 shots from 26 feet?
No, but I'll say this: like, once you're in the game, there are some things that you have to do as a head coach, like call timeouts, like stop runs, like draw up inbound plays. I mean, and those are all things that they fault Thibs for. But what I give him credit for, and I've heard this a lot, is their preparation when the game ends, watching film and preparing for games. Now, how much stock can we put in that when we watch them fail and go down 20 a bunch of times and lose games the whole way?
Well, the thing is, like, for example, to me, it's situational basketball. Like, there's a time to take a three, and then there's time not to take it. For example, in that 2:32, okay, for example, Jalen Brunson pumping a three when he's not a three-point shooter with about less than 2 minutes left is asinine. And you have to think on the court what the situation is, and then you have a situation where you have a 28 seconds on the game clock, 18 seconds on the shot clock. Why are you even considering those?
Not for nothing, they need another shooter because, like, when, like you like, Brunson's not a good shooter. He's a good enough shooter for them. He's the one shooting the ball. Who else would you rather have shooting the three? OG, maybe.
No, but I'm saying don't take a three with an 8-point lead. You have to understand the situation. At that point, you either need to draw contact. And with 28 seconds left in the game, you dribble out. You're the best.
Yeah. They tweaked so many times, like.
Josh, how is Josh Hart fouling a guy with 1:20 seconds left? How about Thibs? Okay, this is where Thibs kills me, okay? Okay, he never fouled Naismith. 4 times he makes threes, okay? So then what he does, he fouls Naismith with 12 seconds left. Why? The worst case scenario, Naismith makes another three, and you're tied, and Knicks have a chance to win that game in game 1. So that made no sense because you stopped the clock, and then the Knicks missed foul shots. And by the way, they also missed 12 foul shots in that game. That's another reason. So this team can't shoot foul shots. You're going to blame Thibs for that? To me, an NBA coach has no guys that I grew up with: Red Holtzman, Gene Shue, Kevin Lockery, Billy Cunningham. All these guys, Dr. Jack Ramsey, all the guys I grew up watching coach basketball could never coach these guys. They could never coach the self-indulgent player who decides he's going to chuck a three for no reason, going to dribble, play one-on-one basketball. The game is played so stupidly, Jakey. Why?
I'm gonna break after this.
All this talent, ability, play in the post and learn low post moves. I hope that they get Mike Malone. He teaches this guy. Why can't basketball be intelligent anymore? I understand the analytics, but you don't have to shoot 35 shots from 26 feet when you have a big man that's 7 feet and can dominate down low, and Indiana has no answer for. So anyway, thanks for giving me the time. I'll listen to your thoughts.
Thanks for the call, Robbie. Yeah, hope to see you. I don't think I'm going to get there Sunday. Look, with this Knicks team, it was their first year playing together. I can't absolve them. They're pros. They had 2 all-pro, they had 2 all-star starters. They made some boneheaded plays and turnovers, and they didn't play defense. But I attribute a lot to that being chemistry, being lack thereof of chemistry. And when you look at this Pacers team, those guys, they're the same team as last year. They've played together. They've been in the battles. They've been in the moments. They know what to expect from each other. They know where everybody's going to be. They know who's shooting the shots. Like if Brunson is chucking up a shot, I can't be mad at him. He's the guy. He's the best player on the team. He's a guy that can go for 40. He's going to shoot threes. He's trying to put up his 3-point celebration. He's trying to hold up the 3 fingers out. Like, that's what he's going to do. I had a caller say that they need a 2 guard. They need somebody that can shoot the 3. I mean, they had DiVincenzo alongside of him. That worked pretty decent, but they do need another guy like that. And, when you talk about coaching, there's only so much the coach can do. Jeff Teague was talking about how Thibs doesn't coach these guys. He just yells certain things and he lets them be themselves. He lets you be who you want to be. And you can't be individuals in the Eastern Conference Finals playing against the whole team, where Aaron Nesmith could be the hero, Tyrese Halliburton could be the hero, Pascal Siakam could be the hero, TJ McConnell could get busy for a little bit, Obi Toppin, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have multiple guys on the team that will just take advantage of certain windows and weaknesses, and you get beat. So I think this team, I don't know what this team, it's hard to speak about this team right now because I don't think that they're running it back with this team. They're not running it back with the coach. Why run it back with this team? It was 1 year. You got where you got. I need to know who's leading the team and what moves they're making in the draft and in free agency. I don't know if they're committed to Cat. If they're not committed to Tom Thibodeau, why would they be committed to Cat or Bridges? But there's also the school of thought that I had before about what you gave up for him. I don't know who we're talking about either. Is it Leon Rose or is it Dolan? It's both. They are in a unenviable spot. They have to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals with a different head coach, and they have to improve this team. And I think it's on the table for them to change the team and change the starting five and lose some of these guys. I don't know. 888-808-1019. We got to break it down. But yeah, when we come back, we'll talk about the Devin Williams situation. We'll talk about the pitching for the Yankees that has been great. We'll talk about the infield situation now that Jazz is back and DJ is playing second. And then we'll also get into the Mets. But like right now, not for nothing, you should be watching this Met game. This looks like a playoff game. Reed Garrett versus Shohei Ohtani, bottom of the 8th, 1-run game. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Cam to Am returns right after this. All right, y'all. Let me get some push-ups in, and I'll get right with you, chat. Ohtani walks. All right, 25 push-ups, and then I'm back, okay? Uh-oh. Trouble. Mookie Betts is back. That's a knock. Okay. Yeah, I saw somebody slick. Like, I like that you haters pull up to my chat, my YouTube channel. You hide your face. You hide your name. Sweet baby Jesus with a Seinfeld picture. McPherson Brand what? McPherson Brand LLC. McPherson Brand YouTube channel. McPherson Brand merch. Hi, I'm Keith. My last name is McPherson. I've built a company for my family. That's why I named it the McPherson Brand. I've built a brand behind my name. This is year 1. Thanks for pulling up. Thanks for joining. You are watching my WFAN show, KM to AM, which also falls under the McPherson Brand. Everybody has dreams and ideas. Things start in your mind and then they come to life. I had this McPherson Brand name in my head years ago. Before I married my wife and made her last name McPherson, before I had my son, whose last name McPherson. When my brother died, coming up on 10 years ago, he died with nothing. He inherited nothing as well. So me being the first person in my family to graduate, me being the first person in my family to go to school on an athletic scholarship, me just being the first person in my family to have some motion and make it shake, I'm like, it's on me to build a brand and a business. It's on me to generate money and income and network and have some connections that my family could potentially live off of, where we never have to worry about collecting a check or being at the mercy of someone else. I'm in the process of doing that. And thank you for asking. So what else are we talking about? Yeah, I am getting brolic, bruh. Sun's out, guns out. It's that time. You talking about Boone's extension from February? Yeah, because somebody was just saying Boone is getting fired. They're not. I'm telling you, they're not firing Boone. Trying to find where it was. Uh-oh, trouble brewing. Oh, yeah. Boone will be fired soon. When did Thibs get his extension? Bingo. I had a video after the Yankees lost to the Red Sox in that wild card game where I was like, this was the time to get rid of the guy. You just got embarrassed by your rivals. Oh, they caught him in a rundown. Runners at the corners. 2 outs. Bottom of the 8th here for the Mets. Approaching 1,200. And got to put up the banner. Appreciate all y'all in here, man. Like, it is 12:45 at night. You could be sleeping. You could be watching a Met game. You could be doing anything else. And even people that, like, you know, and I don't know if you were hating. Let's see. That's awesome. But that's not what I meant. You message in the chat. Boom. Just got an extension. So, okay. Well, a lot of times people come in here hating. So I can't differentiate. I got a show to do. Oh, boy. Bottom of the 8th. 2 outs. Runners at the corners. They just caught Ohtani in a rundown. The Dodgers are trying to come back here. It's 5-4 Mets at Chavez Ravine. Keith McPherson on the fan, taking your calls on Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks. We're going to get more into the Yankees conversation, but I'll still take your calls. So, watching the Yankee game tonight, I knew it was going to end with Devin Williams on the mound because that's just how the baseball gods operate, right? That's just how it had to go. And it's Carlos Rodon versus Tanner Bybee. And nobody is giving this matchup the hype that they gave the weekend matchup, right? Because that was the World Series rematch. Nobody cares about the ALCS rematch. But, through the beginning of this game, there was a little bit of a no-no going. I think Rodon retired 17 in a row. And Bybee, I was like, well, another different lineup, and obviously Jazz coming back. We got to break out of this. So Jazz in the 5th inning had that single, a little bloop that falls in, and then things got a little interesting. DJ followed up with a single. I thought we were about to break that inning open a little bit more, but they put bat to ball. Good things happened, and they got on the board, and I was like, all right, cool. I'll take it. A scar is not so fleet of foot. It is what it is. Whatever. I'm not stressing about that part of the game as I'm going through my notes that I had in the game. As I'm, writing stuff down, the game takes shape in different ways. And you get to the 6th, and it's interesting, right? In the 6th, the most interesting that happened in the 6th, again, you guys that are over there in section, I don't even know the section number, right field, foul territory, sitting right on the wall. There's no netting. That Mookie Betts territory where tonight or last night, Aaron Judge goes to make the play in the top of the 6th. Rodon strikes out the big Christmas. He gets Steven hit the Quan to ground out. And then the last out was about to be made, but a fan, a grown-ass man in a Nike tech suit, reached his hand into Judge's glove. And I don't know why. I guess it's because I go to games. I guess because I'm also like a Yankee fan. And I've been to that stadium so much. I don't understand why y'all get so excited for the ball to come your way and don't identify, one, we're on defense. Like, we need to make that out. Also, here comes Aaron Judge, the face of baseball, the AL Player of the Month. Like, you got to get out of the way. Anyway, they review it. Boone comes out and they challenge it, and it's fan interference. And Rodon is through the 6. And then we keep it rocking until we get to the 7th inning. And in the 7th inning, that one run comes right back, and that ends Rodon's scoreless streak. I think he had went 20 or 21 innings without giving a run up. 17 in a row, 20 straight scoreless innings. Retired 17 in a row, 20 straight scoreless innings. We are getting the best out of Carlos Rodon. Better late than never. Perfect timing with Cole being out. The ROI on RODON. Los, we see you. We appreciate you. Good to have you. And then a bloop and a blast, like I was talking about, a back-to-back and a belly-to-belly. Jazz Chisholm, Dinger Tuesday. I swear I had the thought, but I'm not gambling right now because I'm popped. Betting on the Knicks, betting on Juan Soto to homer, waste of money. Well, not tonight. Juan Soto did homer. Should have put something on it. But anyway, Jazz homers, his 8th homer. Welcome back. And then Volpe follows up with his 7th homer. Back-to-back and a belly-to-belly. And that's the 3 runs that the Yankees would score. Mark Leiter Jr. does his thing. And we get to Devin Williams. And you know what? I was talking about it last night when we got the news that Luke Weaver was going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks going on the IL. It's just, it is what it is. And what a winding road for Devin Williams. I apologize to this guy because I was done with him. I was out on him. I just was out on him because I felt like it was too much to overcome. Being the face of the beard policy, going on paternity leave, fans blaming you for that Diamondback series that we lost, and they, had some issues with the bullpen. Mark Leiter Jr. gave it up then, and then you come back and you can't close. You lose the closer job. We want Weaver, chance, and you blow so many 4-run leads, and it just looked all bad. It looked like this guy couldn't pitch in New York. I remember getting on the fan saying you can't pitch him in the stadium. Shout out to Ann and Tina. They were in the stadium tonight. She's like, you're so right. We were at the stadium tonight. We're watching Williams, and you get that pit in your stomach, just like we did with Holmes. I was calling him Pray Holmes. I was praying. I'm in my house, like, please, we can't. Like, this can't be how it starts. Like, he can't come in the day after we lose Weaver and blow a 3-run lead and then lose the first game of the series, like, to start a Holmes, and it just can't happen. And you know what? First there was a pinch hit, and he gets through the first batter, Kyle Manzardo, who pinch hit for David Fry, and you're like, okay, that's one. But then Devin Williams' body language changed after the battle with Carlos Santana. Like, Carlos Santana, they battle. How many pitches were in that at bat? A 9-pitch at bat and a double off him. And it's like, all right, baseball is so mental. And I'm like worried about this guy's mental. What does Yogi say? Baseball is 90% mental. Baseball is 90% mental, and the other half is physical. I'm worried about this guy's mental because he's failed so much, and that stadium gets uneasy. You can hear everybody moan and groan. His demeanor looked fine, actually, after the Carlos Santana double. Like, all right, whatever. Good at bat, 9-pitch at bat, whatever. But his demeanor changed after Schneemann smoked one by DJ. And I don't know if Jazz gets to that one. There was one earlier in the game that I'm like, when that first run scored, I'm like, Jazz makes that play. A lot of guys make that play. But I don't know if the one that got by Schneemann, it was right there, through the hole. But you see Devin Williams kind of like, and, they have a mound visit, which good. Go talk to him. But Santana scores. He gives up a run. And then they flash the stat of I think his ERA is over 10 in the 9th inning. I think it's under 3 in the 8th inning. And I'm like, this guy was going so good as a setup man. And the Yankees kind of set this up last week against Anaheim, where they just so badly wanted to give him the opportunity to get the last 3 outs. And I'm like, stop trying to force it, man. But whatever, a stolen base happens at bat against Naylor. He almost had one go to the backstop, a wild pitch, but ultimately he battles and he gets Bo Naylor to fly out and they get out of it. And if you look at his last 2 opportunities, the Angels pitching in the 9th and tonight pitching in the 9th, he gave up runs, but he also got out of it without losing the game, without completely blowing it. So 888-808-1019, it's just something we got to go through. I got off Twitter. I tried to shower during the 7th inning stretch because you get a little bit more time. And as I'm in the shower listening, we go back to back in a belly to belly. So I'm like, all right, maybe some good things are going to happen. I'm going to stay, listening to the game now. But then when Devin Williams comes out, I'm like, I got to watch. And I'm telling you, the feeling, like my wife is asleep, my son is asleep, and I'm watching before I leave to come here. And I'm just like, this guy can't do this. He can't blow this game. And you're watching every single pitch. And he's only got 2 pitches. And I just literally started thinking, I'm like, I can't do this for 4 to 6 weeks. This is going to be our lives for 4 to 6 weeks with Devin Williams as the closer. I hope he's better. I hope he saves the game more than he blows it, but he's guaranteed to almost, I don't know. I don't want to put any bad energy out. I'm rocking with you, bro. I'm a Yankee fan. I root for the laundry. I want Devin Williams to be lights out. I want him to find it. But some people think that, like, he's going to find it in this stretch and take back the closer role, and then they could put Weaver in the center. No, Weaver has the head for it. Weaver has the, moxie and the, personality for it. He, even in Susan's interview with him today, he talked about, being ferocious, and he referred to himself as ferocious, and we were calling him the ferocious jungle cat out there last year. Like, I want that psychopath as the closer. I don't want my closer to be somebody that's like, woe is me, and if he gives up a hit or he gives up a run, he's like, oh, the walls are closing in on me, the sky is falling again. Like, nah, that's not the way. 888-808-1019. Carlos in Clifton, New Jersey, before we go to break. You're on the Fan.
A couple of points, but first I got a bone to pick with you. That guy, that tourist, that guy trying to judge on that ball down the foul line. That he was a tourist, right?
He was born in May.
Different. That's a Nike Timu jacket. That guy's definitely a tourist.
He had the Timu. He had the Fugazi. He had the Canal Street Nike Tech. That's crazy.
Now, here's what I want to say about Thibs. I'm at work and my coworker shouted out, "Oh, it just came up, they fired him." I said, I knew it. I just felt that the writing was on the wall for him. If he didn't get to the chip after what transpired in that game 1, I just felt that it was over for him.
Yeah.
For him to even survive. I mean, if you saw the adjustments that were being made after game 5, was it, when they couldn't stop Cat? He was going straight to the hoop. He was dogging him. Indiana came out and made adjustments. They said they're not going to allow him to go to the hoop. They double-teamed him every time he got the ball. They double-teamed Brunson every time he got the ball. And who did they leave out to shoot the 3? Josh Hart. It was planned, and Thibs never made the adjustment. Take Josh Hart out. Put a 3-pointer. Put what's his name, Shaq, that was hitting every 3-pointer he took. Put somebody else in. He made no adjustment. And I just knew the writing was on the wall. And I just got one more thing to say, and I'm going to listen to you. If the machine continues to hit the way he hit, even his outs today were loud, and he got another single, I think we're going to have a good problem. Maybe they go get more pitching at the deadline and then another infield. I'll hang up, and thanks, Steve.
Thanks for the call, Los. I mean, I guess it's a good problem, but to me, I do have a little bit of a problem with the Yankees going against their philosophy change. And we'll cue this up for calls in the 1 o'clock hour, 888-808-1019. What wasn't the whole thing that they were exposed for their defense? Wasn't the whole thing they were trying to get more athletic? Wasn't the whole thing that like this team, they were going to move Jazz back to second because that's his true position? They were going to stop playing guys out of position. Like they refused to move Trent Grisham out of center field. And I don't know, man. I'll say this about DJ. I think he's playing because of two reasons. The money that he's owed, talking about getting a return on investment out of Rodon, they owe him $30 million, 15 this year, 15 next year. They're trying to get a return on investment out of the guy. He's going to be in the lineup, but he's going to play second base. I guess he can't play third base anymore. He can't move that quickly. He's not athletic. So Jazz has to do that, and Jazz will do that just fine. But what are we doing this for? Like, is this going to be for the rest of the year? Is this just up to the deadline? Because honestly, like DJ had a knock today, and like Carlos said, even his outs were loud. I still just don't believe that, like, I don't know. I don't want to hate on him because, like I said, I'm a Yankee fan. I root for the Yankees. There was a point in time where DJ was my favorite Yankee, or not favorite Yankee, but he was a very needed Yankee. He's batting ninth. You would love to see him have more of that leadoff hitter in him that he used to have. But I just feel like this team is better with Jazz at second base. And I think what Cashman is doing here, seeing what DJ has through June, through July, and as it gets warmer here, and then also seeing what the trade market has. Maybe they find a right-handed utility infielder. Maybe. Max Muncy is on a tear, bro. Solo homer for Max Muncy, his second homer of the game. He just tied it up. 5-5, bottom of the ninth. You know what? And yeah, we'll talk about DJ and Jazz, and that they optioned Yorbit Vivas, and I don't know what. Where the hell is Pablo Reyes? Did I miss him getting optioned? I guess Peraza is still hanging around. But I think really this comes down to what's available at the deadline. 888-808-1019. If they can get a third baseman or a second baseman, a right-handed hitting one, I wish Tommy Edman was available at the deadline this year. Then I think they'll move accordingly. And Jazz is flexible where he could go to second or he could stay at third. Also, Mets fans call me up now. Brazoban, he's been good. And I just talked about this Mets bullpen has been nails. I knocked on wood. I said I didn't want to jinx it. But we might be in for another extra innings game tonight. And there's so much conversation about the Mets closing the gap on the Dodgers. These have been pretty evenly matched contests. So we're in for a good one. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Call me up. Still taking calls on Thibs and the Knicks, but the Yankee conversation is out there. And then before I get out of here at 2, we're definitely going to talk about what's going on with the Mets and the Dodgers. 888-808-1019, BRB.
All right.
Kicking around the push-up bars.
Yo, just to make sure that 514 is always not me, right? We've decided that. That's definitely the minute or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. Which never, so what does that mean? Now I gotta look at a different spot, or it's not gonna be emailed to me every day? I'm gonna forget? But they're gonna email me the link though, right? Oh, see, I don't even have it on my phone. I only do it when I get here. So it's on the computer, it's easy to see. That's fair. I never even set up my email on my phone. I know that sounds awful. I never did. Yeah, I never. Yeah, I never.
Chad, I'm trying to find the video of the fan outside Fenway that was yelling at Max Muncy after the game. Little homework assignment for anybody in here that's got the time. That series in Fenway was, I don't know when it was, but I feel like a week or two after that, that's when he started going crazy. I'm scrolling back through their schedule now. Somebody figure that out for me.
Good morning at 1 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. We're headed to extras in LA. The Mets and the Dodgers tied at 5 as we're headed to the 10th inning. Max Muncy with his second homer of the night, a solo shot off Wazakar Brosnaban in the ninth that tied things up. He had a two-run shot back in the first inning as well. Dodgers jumped out to a quick 4-1 lead on Tyler McGill, who really settled in after giving up 4 in the first inning. 6 innings for the Mets, 7 strikeouts, 105 pitches. Juan Soto, a 2-run shot. Pete Alonso is knocked in a pair. And Soto will lead off here in the 10th inning as the Mets and the Dodgers even at 5, game 2 of this 4-game set. Meanwhile, Jazz Chisholm returned for the first time since April 29th and made his presence felt. Anthony Volpe followed with a solo shot of his own. Yankees able to hold up the Guardians 3-2. Dave Sims, Susan Waldman, the call right here on the Fan. Carlos Rodon with a masterful performance. 7 innings, a 1-run ball, 8 Ks, while Devin Williams struggled to run on a couple of hits, but it will lock it down for a 6th save. And coming within 2 games of the NBA Finals and their first appearance in the conference finals in 25 years, not good enough to save Tom Thibodeau's job. Fired as head coach of the Knicks 3 days after they were eliminated by the Pacers. Thibodeau ranks 4th on the franchise's all-time win list, helped bring the Knicks back to relevancy, made the playoffs 4 times in his 5 years after they had missed the playoffs 7 straight years prior to his arrival. 67 degrees, clear skies, Central Park, and it's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Maybe it wasn't outside Fenway. West Coast beats for West Coast stretch right now. Extras, bonus baseball, back-to-back nights, postseason intensity, postseason-like games between the Mets and Dodgers, NLCS rematch. Here we are in the top of the 10th. Luis Torrens on second as Manfred's man. Tanner Scott out there again. And Juan Soto up at the plate. I'm bugging out right now because there was a video that I saw on the internet, and maybe it was from last year, and maybe I'm just like tweaking and not remembering it correctly. I thought it was from this year. There was a video that I saw this year of Max Muncy coming out of the ballpark and getting on the team bus, and a fan was heckling him. It was a Dodger fan in an away stadium, I believe. And I'm looking at, I'm like, they didn't play at Fenway. Like, and the internet will do that to you sometimes. It'll play games with your mind. But either way, the fan was yelling at Max Muncy like he blew his parlay. And not long after that, like a week or two after that, Max Muncy went on his current tear. And he's balling. But I'm like, did I dream that video? Sometimes that happens too. With all this sports stuff and doing a show, like I have random sports dreams and thoughts and stuff. I'm like, that never really happened. But yeah, in Max Muncy's last 7 games, he's batting .409. He's got 9 hits, 6 homers, 14 ribbies. He's only got 3 strikeouts. If you go back further, he's batting .283 with 13 hits, 6 homers, 18 ribbies, 9 walks, and 1 stolen base in his last 15 games, his last 46 at-bats. I'm like, I got to find that video. I was asking the chat to do some work on it. I think somebody found it. Anyway, back to the show. Talking about the Yankees and Jazz Chisholm and DJ LeMahieu and Devin Williams. And we'll get into 2 articles in this hour that I'll reference. One about Aaron Judge, one about Garrett Cole. But I do want to get back to you. Tom Thibodeau was fired yesterday. Ben Stiller came out and said, I am a Tom Thibodeau fan. He brought this team back. I felt he gave every bit of himself and was always looking to improve. I will always be grateful for how far he brought the Knicks. They are relevant again. They are championship contenders again. The Knicks became winners again with him. Thank you, Coach Thibs. Teddy's in Yonkers on the Fan. What's up, Teddy? Teddy. Teddy fell asleep, but I'll put Teddy on hold. And we'll pass the rock to Andre in Queens. What's up, Dre?
Hey, what's going on, Keith? How are you this evening?
Good. How are you?
Great, huh?
It's, evening, morning, like my morning, I wake up at like 10 a.m. This is really a night, but, just not to confuse anybody listening out there. It's 1:09 in the morning.
So I wanted to say, now that Thibodeau is out, I'm looking to see if the Knicks will hire Rick Russ's dad as their head coach moving forward.
Nah, his dad got to be too old. You mean Jalen Brunson's dad, Rick Brunson? Thanks for the call, Dre. No, they're not going to hire Rick Brunson. I mean, that'd be crazy. I think that would be crazy. Maybe not that crazy. Maybe they love Jalen that much. And maybe Rick spoke up. But I don't see that. I don't see Rick undercutting him. For 2 days, I did 5-hour shows where I'm like, Thibs is safe because of Rick and Jalen Brunson. I feel like that's their mans. That's their guy. That's who they're going to lobby for. Like Rick was on the staff before Jalen came here. And Jalen came here and became a star in the league. You think they plotted against him? I don't think they plotted against him. And I don't think you're hiring Rick Brunson as a head coach. I think you're going to hire an experienced head coach. I think you're going to hire a head coach with a name. I think it's New York. I saw it with the stupid Brooklyn Nets. They had a coach in Kenny Atkinson who now, everybody sees how great he is, but they fired him thinking that, they needed a Steve Nash type, which was dumb as hell. No experience, but he's Steve Nash. And they felt like he would have, more weight with KD and Kyrie, I guess. Jacques Vaughn is available if the Knicks want him. Okay, Teddy and Yonkers, are you with us? Damn, Teddy. Now I got to drop you. I'm going to go to this guy right now, just a curveball, change of pace, because he's been holding for so long, and I've been looking for different things, watching the Mets game, going through my notes, and I meant to tell him. I won't even tell. I'll tell him when we talk to him. Jay is in Jersey on the Fan. What's up, Jay? Okay, maybe he's been holding so long because he fell asleep. Are the phones not working? Or are people just like, nah, I just heard from Dre, but he was coming a little. I don't know, man. If this next one doesn't work, I don't know what to think. Bruce is in Flushing. Bruce, you're on the Fan.
I'm here, baby. The Thibs situation is a complex answer. Number one, this is a defensive-minded coach, and in key spots during this final conference, Eastern Final Conference round, the defense left. Now, is it Thibs' fault, or is the players' fault not producing what they should be doing? So that's one way of looking at this. To me, and I think Mike Francesa hit on the head in this podcast tonight, that Leon Rose didn't think Thibs could win with this team. And the odds of getting honest are not good, obviously. So Leon Rose said, I can't change this team. I got to find a coach to fit this team.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm with you as far as thinking like, players get coaches fired and we'll never know what their exact assignments were or what they were supposed to do, if they went off script, if they freelance. The 2-star players had terrible games in the last game, and you can't fire them. They got to fire the coach.
And I think Leon Rose, probably in the back of his mind, is thinking, I get players to fill the bench, and I know Thibs doesn't usually, is a strict 7-8 man rotation. But when he did go to the bench, they performed. So maybe Leon in the back there saying, no matter who I bring in for the bench, he's not going to play him anyway.
Maybe I don't know. The bench, like, if the bench is better, then he's more inclined to play them. That's why I was saying they got to build a better bench, and that's on Leon Rose. Their bench was all right, but it wasn't like they were gonna win the Eastern Conference Finals with them.
Well, but is it a better bench, or is this thing is I'm always going to go with an 8-man rotation, no matter who I have on this bench?
Right, because that's his MO. I'm saying every narrative about Tom Thibodeau is true, and it has come to roost. And I heard the guys the other day talking about come to roost, the term. But everything that was said about this coach came to light and was right. And like, You'll never win a championship with him. He'll have some good teams, but they can't go to distance. He runs his players into the ground. Kenny Smith saying he wouldn't start or he wouldn't play 9 guys in a baseball game. Like, yeah, well, those old habits die hard.
Yankee comment, if I can. Did you see John Heyman's article last Friday in the Post
About
the Yankee bullpen?
I did not.
Said a scout told him, "Well, I don't know if you can trust the bullpen." And Weaver shouldn't be pitching the 9th inning. He should be pitching the 8th inning. I mean, even a scout is on drugs by saying Weaver shouldn't be pitching the 9th inning. He's so anti-Yankee, his opinions is useless.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any Boris clients in the Yankee bullpen. What's the agenda? What's the angle here? Why would anyone look at the Yankee bullpen and think that Luke Weaver isn't the answer? He did it in the postseason last year. He did it this year. I don't know. I don't understand the angle there. Who are they trying to lobby for? Devin Williams isn't signed to Boris.
Yeah, I don't mean to cast aspersions, but John Heyman has gone from a very good writer to Scott Boras, still, and sort of an anti-Yankee person.
I had that feeling, but I can't even speak on it. Thanks for the call, Bruce. I'll leave that one alone. I love LA. I am tired of seeing Freddie Freeman dance. Mama, there goes that man again. Freddie Freeman doubles. Tommy Edman scores. The Dodgers walk off the Mets 5-6. And let me go to my Twitter because there were some Met fans peacocking. And I got to be like, yo, chill. Like, yo, relax yourself. Like, delete. Delete your tweets. That ball from Freddie Freeman, he is a professional hitter and assassin. That ball twists Brandon Nimmo up in left field. He turns to his left and then back to his right, and it drops right in front of the wall on the warning track, right in front of that slab that is probably rubber and not concrete now. And that's enough for Tommy Edman to easily score, and that's the game. Series knotted up 1-1. Freddie Freeman kills the Mets once again, kills New York once again. And we'll take your Mets calls at 888-808-1019. Let's take a look at this box score. The Mets had 8 hits. I believe in the debut of Ronnie Mauricio, he went 0 for 4, and that's correct. Pete Alonso had 2 knocks, 2 ribbies. Juan Soto had a knock, a homer, a 2-run homer. Lindor with a hit, Marte with a hit, Tyrone Taylor with a hit, Jeff McNeil with a hit. Ultimately, Brazoban gives up the tying run to force extras, and then Buto. I never really get mad at these guys with Manfred's man on second. Tough spot to be in, but Buto ends up taking the L. And yeah, that's a game. That's a good one, but that's a game that, you probably feel like you could have, should have won when you came back and took the lead. The Mets were down 4-1 in the game. And, you get a Juan Soto homer to cut the lead. That gets wasted. And then even you rally to take the lead and you give it up. And, that's how these games are going to go. That's how these games are going to go between the Mets and the Dodgers. Back-to-back nights, extra innings. And you got 2 more games here to decide it. So the Mets just need to win 1 more. Don't lose 3 in a row. And I don't see them losing 3 in a row to the Dodgers. 888-808-1019. We're still talking Thibs on the Fan. Let's go to Ross in Bergen County. What's up, Ross?
What's up, Keith? What the hell's wrong with Nemo, man? You see how he played that ball?
Yeah, that's why I said that ball had him twisted up. And shout out to the chat. It was outside of Wrigley. I knew I was thinking of like a older cathedral. That's why I was saying Fenway. Then I checked the Dodgers schedule. They didn't go to Fenway. There is a viral video of a Dodgers fan who tells Max Muncy he sucks outside of Wrigley Field 5 weeks ago. And what I say, 2 weeks after that, Muncy started turning it on.
He told he woke up the beast, whatever that quote is, whatever. He
Woke up a sleeping giant, poked the bear. Yeah.
woke up a sleeping Dodger. And in fact, Oakland DFA'd this guy, placed him with another next month that's left on a couple years. Unreal, man. Orange and blue skies keep falling and falling. And, I'll say this about Thibs. I wouldn't say I want him gone specifically because of this year. I've just been I hear a lot of people bring up the Showalter thing now, which kind of adds to it. I've been saying he's an older J.B. Bickerstaff for about the last year. You kind of give him a pass with the Hawks series because, I was the first one go with him. It was kind of the first go with him in the playoffs here in New York. And you kind of look in hindsight, that roster was kind of a miracle. He, got to the playoffs, let alone hosted a series. I'd say these last three, though, the fact that these playoff runs came short against teams that they were favored to beat, and then, specifically these last two against the same team, Indy, where this year you talked about the game. If that doesn't happen, we won the series. And last year, but after the injuries, we won that series too. We're always and this or buts, coulda, woulda, shoulda. The fact of the matter is, Indy's 2-0 against us in series is that we were favored both times. And I think at some point, heads got our own, man. And between the GM that got this team out of the gutter and the coach that got him out of the gutter, well, he had a track record for a coach that's got two other franchises out of the gutter and never ring with them. And a lot of people talk about, well, Chicago and Minnesota kind of fell off the map once they let this go. And that's kind of the thing. The pattern is that they replaced him both times with first-time head coaches. Fred Hoiberg, Ryan Saunders, I think it was, of Minnesota. You hear a lot of people talk about Johnny Bryant now. So I'm glad they got rid of him, but I don't think they go the first-time head coach route, whether it be Michael Malone, G. Wright, the whole Nova thing kind of comes full circle even more with that. I think it's kind of a little bit of a spot. You kill the messenger, don't kill the messenger. I think they need a veteran in the locker room. I just think it was time for Thibs. Thibs ran his course. He changed the culture. That's what he's the perfect guy to do, but he's never going to get you over the top of the heap. So I'm on board with the movement.
But what if no one else does? That's where we're at now. Thanks for the call, Ross. Like, what if they don't? This looks terrible in the next couple of years if the Knicks don't ever get back to here, because the Knicks so rarely ever get here. And this is the guy that has gotten you here and has built the organization, the franchise, the team to get here over the last few years. Now you pivot away from him. Like, it makes it that much harder. There's that much more pressure and expectations. I don't envy the guy that takes this job. I don't envy the guy that becomes the next Knicks head coach, because you're expected to have results right away that are, not just hard to come by. They're unheard of in this organization, in this town. It's been 52 years since they won a championship. You're expected to get to the championship in your first year. That's why they have to. That's why I think it's out. I think Johnny Bryant is out. I think an inexperienced head coach is out. I think it's 100% going to be a veteran, somebody that's done it before, maybe someone that's got a ring. Because you can't throw somebody into this situation that's got to figure it out on the fly. You can't throw a rookie head coach into this pressure cooker that has to learn, little things like calling timeouts. Like Thibs couldn't even call the right timeouts. Thibs couldn't draw up plays in the heat of the moment. You're going to put that on a first-year coach, on a young guy? And I don't know. I just think that when we play the percentages, when we play the odds are now, without running it back with this coach, you're going to get another coach in here that's going to have his own issues of learning the players, learning the city, the media, the arena, how things go. And then you're also probably going to add some new players. Like, it's going to add a lot of different hurdles and obstacles to overcome when you were this close with what you had. And like I said, I think it's, at the end of the day, I think Dolan grew impatient. I think Dolan probably listened to too many outside people. Blowing it up, if you're going to blow it up, you better have a way to rebuild it fast. And maybe there'll be some type of the expectations and the pressure here, it's now. I was going to say maybe they'll give the next guy 2-3 years. No, they'll probably fire the next guy in 2-3 years if he's not able to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, let alone the finals. So I think you just made it tougher on everybody. I think in this championship window that we talked about the Knicks having, firing the head coach, you just made it like a 1-year window and made it that much harder for them to actually become champions. Unless you really think Mike Malone or Budenholzer or I don't even know, man. Like, I'm not supposed to know. Leon Rose is supposed to know. and Dolan better know. There shouldn't even be a round of interviews. They should just hire the next guy out, and like that should be the next thing. But it's not going to come that quickly. Anyway, 888-808-1019. Brazo Bond with the blown save, and Jose Buteau with the loss. And 2 different nights, but man, when you stay up till 1:20 to watch the game, and you go to sleep extra innings and a different result than last night's extra innings, it sucks because you're going to be tired tomorrow or you're going to be tired today. Billy in Bay Ridge. What's up, Billy? You're on the fit.
Hey, man, thanks for the call.
You got it.
Yeah. Talking about the Thibs, I like his work, work ethic, and showing these guys how to play, defense to the point of, they were able to do it, not to the extreme, but they were able to play. Now, my thoughts for new coach, Mark Jackson. How about that?
Yeah, his name has been out there. Thanks for the call, Billy. He's been doing TV, and he's a former Knick and a New Yorker, and maybe, but is he too old school? Is he going to be innovative? I like what you said about the work ethic. Like, one thing we gave Tom Thibodeau credit for and came around on was, as much as we talked about the minutes police and how he plays his guys, we're like, they're conditioned. They're in shape. They're prepared to play 40 minutes. What now? I think they just want to go away from his style. I think the players in their exit meetings probably did express being tired, man. Game 6, being tired and feeling like, yo, it's just too much to overcome. In a long season, they played more minutes than they had ever played. And, you try to go to the bench too late. And, yeah, those guys were ready and you give them credit. But this is a philosophy change in hopes of a philosophy change immediately changing their fortune. And it's a gamble. It's a risk. But what is more of a gamble? Running it back with the same coach and hoping that he adapts and he evolves and you give him the right pieces to do so, or just saying we're going to go a different direction, a different voice, and we think that they'll respond more to a new voice and a new style and a new approach. And we'll cross our fingers and wear our pajamas inside out and say our prayers and hope that we can get back to the Eastern Conference Finals and win. I think a lot of it too is, and this is not a smart way to think, because sports are completely unpredictable. We don't know who's going to rise. Like, I think a lot of it is based on the Pacers, and the Pacers beating you back-to-back years. A small market team, like I said before, they don't pay any luxury tax. Like, that's the team that beat. All right, you got to go. You lost to the Pacers back-to-back years, and our history with the Pacers and Reggie Miller, and they did the choke sign. You let that game get choked. You didn't call a timeout to try and stop the bleeding in game 1. Yeah, you got to roll, son. You got to roll, son. We'll figure it out with somebody else. They're going to feel like they're good enough to win 50 games because they did it back-to-back years with different teams and with guys being hurt, but ultimately it being, Brunson and Hart. Some of the other people, like OG, played half the season. Mitchell Robinson was hurt most of this year. They did it 2 years ago with Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. They did it this year with Cat, and Cat was out for some games and Brunson was out for some games. I think they feel like this nucleus can get around 50 wins. But Thibs is not the guy that's going to take us over the top. 888-808-1019. That's just where it is. So I've come around to, I think it was a mistake, but time will tell. I won't say anymore that I think it was a knee-jerk reaction. Maybe not a knee-jerk reaction. That's too quick of a reflex. But I think what it was a reaction to negative opinions and a reaction to the way that the season ended, where the expectations changed after you beat the Celtics. After you beat the Celtics, you were supposed to beat the Pacers. You were supposed to host the finals in the Garden. And maybe Jim Dolan himself, like a little inside baseball here. We were hoping to beat Credential Media at the finals. I sent in a headshot. Not for nothing. I was rooting for it. Like, wasn't I was rooting for the Knicks, but I was like, well, damn. I mean, if the Knicks go to the finals, I'm about to see my first NBA finals as Credential Media. And I'll show up there in a polo shirt and khakis for that. As soon as they got eliminated, that gets rejected. So there were already some plans in place for the Knicks to host the finals. I mean, they were selling tickets. You think Dolan couldn't see the amount of money that was, how many people were throwing a credit card down for, and then couldn't even force a game 7. That's another thing. We were this close. You couldn't even force a game 7. You blew it. You blew game 1. You know what? Heads got to roll. You got to go. This blood is on your hands. You're the fall guy. You're the sacrificial lamb, Tom. Enough already. Everything they told me about you was true. You're going to run your guys into the ground. You're not going to play the bench. And that you'll have some good teams. You'll win some games, but ultimately you'll never be a champion. And this is the end of the road. Let's go to Matt in Albany on the fan. What's up, Matt?
Hey, I'm kind of surprised. I'm old enough that I remember the last championship team, and I went to games that season. I think they made a profound mistake. The guy was in the middle of his contract. I hope that this is the basketball people making the decision and not Dolan bringing a heavy hand, because part of the reason that the organization has been as effed up as it's been for as long as it's been is because he's been too involved. And I think the team showed clear improvement, and the Pacers who beat them showed clear improvement over last year. They both advanced an extra round. And I just think that, as you said, as you pointed out, you bring in somebody new, you now have introduced another unknown variable that's going to complicate the functioning of the team going forward for all the reasons that you laid out. And it's disappointing that they lost, but I really honestly think that this was an overreaction. It's not like he was at the end of the contract and they were going to negotiate. I mean, they had enough confidence in him that he still had time left. And I just feel that it's a mistake.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Yeah, and it's not like he completely embarrassed the franchise and organization. And it makes me think, yes, he embarrassed the franchise and organization because they lost game 1 and whatever, you're supposed to beat the Pacers. But was this inevitable? Like if you lost to the Celtics in the second round, were you going to fire the guy? Because that's what a lot of the fans were saying and pointing to anyway. But that didn't happen. Either way, he's out. So I got to be out. Let's take a break. 888-808-1019, my last break. When we come back, we'll get through the rest of the calls. Big Mac is in the bullpen warming up. Keep McPherson on the fan. Right back after this. Push-ups. All right, let's get 25. Hey. Fucking A. Oh. Let me catch up on the chat. Can't keep signing guys for Thibs. We need a coaching staff willing to blend in the young talent and develop. Sure. But, like, how long is that going to take? Sure. The Mets always play tough with the Dodgers, even when they go out there, when they just were here. Keith probably laughing about Nimmo. No, I was live. I don't think anybody saw me laugh. What I said was that ball twisted him up. He had a bad read on it. He went to his left and right, and that ball dropping on the warning track like that to end the game, not a good look. I don't think Miami's letting Spoelstra go. Miami, Jimmy and Spoelstra beefed. They got Jimmy up out of there. Why would they move on from Spoelstra? The fans should get some Muncie's paycheck, free tickets. I didn't see that a fan catch that ball or something. Nimmo's glasses. Oh, I see. Yeah, imagine being the fan, like, bro, that guy. I want to play that actually before we get back. Before I get out of here, y'all already know what to do for the algorithm. Bang that. But I wanted to listen to this before. Hell yeah, you suck. And we're back for the last time tonight, this early morning, KM to AM. Keith McPherson on the fan. I got about 14 minutes left. 888-808-1019. Yeah, I just went back and listened to that Max Muncy video from 5 weeks ago. Max Muncy was hitting 178. Some fan probably put a parlay together for him to have 2 total bases, a single, something real simple, and Max Muncy did nothing. And he waited for him to get on the bus. And he said, "You a lame. You suck." And Max Muncy was looking at him with the death stare, like I want to go out there and check you, but I can't. And you need to get over it. And yeah, since then, Max Muncy is raised his average about 100 points. And I mean, I saw what he did obviously against the Yankees. Now what he's doing against the Dodgers. La Bomba squad. So yeah, good for Max Muncy. And fans that take their parlays and stuff like that serious to like wait for a player to like yell at a player, like you got it all wrong. He didn't make you bet. He didn't make you choose him. He didn't make you put that certain amount of money on him. People are stupid, man. 888-808-1019. The Dodgers beat the Mets tonight. 6-5 in 10 innings. Tyler McGill, not a good start. Pitching lab for Tyler McGill. He's probably the one guy that you're looking at and you're saying, what are you doing in the lab between starts? Tyler. Got to get him right. But then you also don't have to get him right? Because you got help on the way. Or maybe you don't have that much help on the way. Frankie Montas. You guys see his line? Frankie Montas, 4 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks, 4 home runs on 61 pitches. It's just a rehab start. It's AAA Syracuse. It doesn't matter. Not great. But I think we all laughed at the Frankie Montas signing, like Frankie Mont ass. Let's see what he does. When Frankie was a Yankee, we weren't too fond of him. 888-808-1019. I'm pretty much just queuing up calls for Big Mac. All my calls are Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks, except for this one. So this is the one I got to take first. Adam is in East Windsor on the fan. What's up, Adam?
What's happening, man? Hope your family's doing well.
Yes, we are all good. Thanks for calling.
Awesome. Listen, I was just curious what your thoughts are on Devin Williams thing. Obviously, Luke's taking a little break for a minute, but I thought Devin looked pretty good, and he's been looking pretty good. So I was curious what your thoughts were on that.
Yes, it's going to be a bumpy ride. It's going to be a scary one too. Thanks for the call, Adam. It's going to be like, I don't know, you're driving in a car that you don't trust, and you just got your license, and now you got to get on the highway. You might get to the destination all right. You might not, actually. If you got to take trips for 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes you might crash the whip. I expect the whip to crash. It'll be all right, though. We got insurance and whatnot. Maybe somebody will drive shotgun and grab the wheel. But I am not looking forward to it because, like I said earlier, that 9th inning, when the Yankees have the game and you've gone through the whole game, like that, blowing the game in the 9th can change my mood for 21 hours. And we're going to have to live through Devin Williams and like his mannerisms, his body language. And like if things don't go perfect for him, he's going to have a little bit of a like fist in the glove, looking to the sky, mound visit, covering his mouth. Like, and, we had a good version of Devin Williams for these last few outings, especially in the setup, 8th inning spot. And I don't know. It's funny. The baseball gods work in mysterious ways. You can't predict baseball. I said before, what a winding road for this guy as a Yankee. He's definitely not coming back next year. Who can do it? Like why would you pay him and bring him back next year to like go through this? And it's baseball. That's why I was panicking before, because I'm like, even if he does find it, it's baseball. These are professional hitters. Sometimes he can make good pitches, and sometimes guys are going to put good swings on him. Sometimes guys are going to have good at bats, right? And everybody knows there's scouting reports on him. He throws 2 pitches. Like Carlos Santana is a professional hitter and is a guy that's been around for a long time. He battled him. 9-pitch at bat. And then even Bo Naylor to end the game. I'm like, damn, that's a 7-pitch at bat. And I'm like, I know some nights it's going to be 1, 2, 3. But I feel like more nights than not, it's going to be an adventure with Devin Williams. So be it, I guess. Unless they can go to Fernando Cruz sometimes, unless they can go to, I can't say Loaizaga or even Mark Leiter Jr. really. What they got to do is score runs. So let's go, Yanks. Score 7, 8 runs. I don't know. Make the lead more than 4 runs in the 9th. So we really don't even have to sweat it out. Where if he gives up, he's going to give up a run or two. And that's what he did in his last 2 outings. The Angels and this one, he gave up a couple runs and they didn't lose. Right? He came into the game with 3-0 lead. He gave up 2 runs against the Angels. He gave up 2 runs against he gave up 1 run against the Guardians tonight, and whatever. All is well. That ends well. Pete is in Copiague. What's up, Pete? You're on the fan.
Keith.
Bringing it home. Wrapping up another show.
I got to be honest. First time, long time. I haven't got to say that on the fan in years.
Ding, ding, ding. Count it. I'll take it. Appreciate you making the call.
Yeah, man. I thought the Thibs fire had happened. 100%. They needed a scapegoat, and it was going to be him.
Yep.
And and don't get me wrong. Look, a lot of people in the finals did not come to play basketball and whatever. But that's not what I'm calling. I think the only solution, realistically, if you're going to bring in somebody who, yes, had won and won the big one numerous times and is the only answer for me, is Jay Wright. It's got to be him. He's the only person. I mean, obviously, the whole Nova Knicks thing, great. But, he's won it all. numerous times and has the ability to get into the media with New York, especially, and not, kick up, not, pull any punches. He can handle his own. And that's the only thing that this coach needs to be able to handle at all is the media.
Yeah, I hear you, Pete. Thanks for the call. He's never won the NBA Finals. March Madness tournament is great. Like getting those kids ready for those one-offs against Loyola Marymount, and then eventually, facing the Blue Bloods in the Final Four. Like that's so different. And I think Jay Wright is a good coach. I talked about I've been in the Garden. I've been to 2 games that I saw Jay Wright sitting not far, from the floor watching his guys. He's 63 though. And he's been out of coaching now for 3 seasons. So I don't know. I think I had a clip from Part of My Take where it's just I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's gonna happen. I'll listen to this clip when I play the next call. But Jay Wright, his name's been floated out there. I don't think it's realistic. He's won in college. This is not college. You got to play a team 6-7 times to beat them. The same team. You got to go back to the drawing board. That's what I was saying. Through these series, each game is another lap, and you got to figure out how to outrun the team. And I don't know. I don't see Jay Wright as the guy. It's not college. It's the pros. And I think they got to go away from the whole Villanova stuff. And that's another thing I was thinking too. It's like you made the move to bring Bridges in, and you thought you were going to get the Villanova 4, but then you had to make another move, and you never actually got to see them play together. Make another move then. Break up this team. Josh Hart, maybe you don't need Josh Hart with Brunson. Get better there. Get a bigger body, a guy that can shoot versus a guy that can kind of shoot. A guy that gives you hustle and rebounds and can – but you need scoring and you need defense and you need to match up against the Pacers and beat the Pacers. So, yeah, I don't know about that one. 888-808-1019. Dio out on Long Island on the Fan. What's up?
What's going on, brother? Another great show. I would go Tim Hill at the closer. Steve Williams in the 8th inning. But I think that there are so many reasons why Thibs got fired, but I'm going to start with the first one. If Brunson doesn't get in foul trouble in game 3, this is a sweep. It's only because Brunson got in foul trouble that he went to the bench and the bench brought him home in game 3, and he went away from the same bench in game 4.
Great point.
In the fourth quarter,
forced his hand.
Defensive player for the entire fourth quarter when he couldn't buy a stop. So I'm a pretty decently smart sports guy, but I know Leon Rose is 10 times the sports mind that I am, and I'm sure that he's looking at that. He's sitting up in the stands, and he's like, how does this guy not see these things? So I know we went from ashy to classy under Thibs, but he showed us in these playoffs that he's not the guy that's going to bring us to the mountaintop. I don't know who it is. I know who it isn't, and it is not Thibs.
Well said. Well put. Thank you for the call, Dio. A couple good things you said in there. Like, it's hard to remember how these things shook out. I've given Thibs credit for going to his bench, but there were a lot of you calling saying, yo, he had to. He was on his last leg. It was a last resort. Instead of dying on his sword, like he had to revert to that. He had to. Brunson got in foul trouble. It forced his hand. And it worked. It didn't work the whole series to win the series, but it worked to steal that game 3. And yeah, the phrase of I don't know who it is, but I know who it isn't, that's the bar for Thibs. That is the bar for Thibs. Somebody pass it along. I know Big Mac can hear it. Pass it along in the morning show, the midday, because those guys got to still get on the Fan and react and talk about this. I think all in all, you'll come around to it's not a knee-jerk reaction, maybe a little bit of an overreaction. He might be the scapegoat, the fall guy, but so be it. Because to get to the promised land, right, he got to the playoffs. He got to the second round. Okay, this year he got out of the second round and was favored to beat a small market Indiana team that he faced last year. And I don't know who it is that's going to lead him to the promised land, but it's not him. And that's been the MO. That's been the narrative. That's been the tagline on him for years. Russ is in Norwalk, Connecticut. Last call of the night.
Thanks for taking my call, and thanks for letting me wrap this up here. But I have to respectfully say that Tom Thibodeau upset the defending champions, down 20 points in games 1 and 2 on the road, and his team showed a lot of heart, okay? They were a big underdog in that series, and they won that series. They got through the Pistons. They got through the Celtics. They took the next step. That innocent climb, as Pat Riley likes to say, right? The guy's 68 years old. He's put his heart and soul. He's been an assistant coach in New York. Now he's the head coach in New York. And let me just say this right now, and I mean this sincerely. I believe he deserved one more year. I think James Dolan is the biggest loser in New York sports history, and will go down as the biggest loser in New York sports history, because sources have confirmed that James Dolan sat in on exit interviews and put his stamp, like he knows basketball, on this team. And that's why this team hasn't done what this team did in 25 years that Tom Thibodeau did do. So I think he got a raw deal. I think if that ball bounces another direction in game 1, if that ball comes up in the air and hits the rim and goes out, the Knicks win this series. It's luck. It's unluck, right? The Knicks were unlucky.
Thanks for the call, Russ. But at the end of the day, someone's got to be held accountable, responsible. And it's always easier to blame the head coach and make the coach the fall guy and change him. And yeah, I hear you. They beat the Celtics, but people point to a bunch of different things, from how long the Celtics played and Tatum getting hurt and them shooting threes nonstop. And that's not good enough, because ultimately that was a second round win that doesn't get you anything. There's no banner. There's no participation trophy for that. But I'm with you, though. Like I said, they should have ran this whole thing back. I don't really know what they're doing. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. KM to AM out. C-Max up next. Good night. All right, good people. Y'all should go to bed. I'm about to go home and try and sleep, yo. But we'll do this again tomorrow. Same time, same place. After the Yankees take the series. You know what I mean? Hopefully we don't even need Devin Williams. Hopefully we don't have to go through that. Hove did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. I'd rather not. I honestly rather not go through the, how many games can we go through without feeling like Devin Williams is going to blow the game? Anyway, appreciate all of you. I'm sure you've already hit like, and I'm sure some of y'all are already just following me on Instagram or not Instagram, Twitter. I don't think I'm streaming on Instagram. Yeah, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X. Yeah, same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good one. Good night.